This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, die Romeo, you stupid asshole! Cue the music! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always, well, almost as always, is one half of the Destructo Bros.
Yo, what's up everybody? It's Nate.
And then we have a guest this week. We didn't introduce him on the Patreon. Hopefully you'll know his voice by now, but if not, he is the wonderful Mr. Puzzles, Dane. How you doing, my brother?
What up? Doing good. Happy to be back so soon.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you back. Yeah. We got lots of good positive feedback from the last time that you were here. It was a good episode.
My mom really liked the show.
Hey, mine too.
That's not all she liked.
Zing!
Fair enough.
How you boys been the past 2 weeks? I'm going to go clockwise, so we'll start with Nate.
Yeah. So, this kind of goes back a little bit more than 2 weeks. It's something I've been kind of holding under my hat for a while now. I wanted to make sure everything got resolved before I brought it up in a more public form, but never trust your company that you work for, folks. Like, I know Dalton's been very vocal about his work issues and things like that. So, I work mainly in big tech companies, right? And I'm sure if you've watched the news or anything like that, you've heard about all the big tech layoffs. I was laid off at the beginning of February, very unceremoniously by a company that refers to all of its employees as family. And I'm like, thanks, Dad. That's just what I would do too. Kick your kid out because you want to save a couple dollars, but you'll keep a fucking celebrity on retainer for $10 million a year, which would have paid about 100 plus employees had you not. It just pisses me off. Don't trust companies you work for. I've got a new job. I'll be starting on that next week. But man, corporate America does not have your back. Don't have its either. Never feel bad if you want to leave your job. Just fucking do it because they will not back you up regardless.
Yeah. Fucking amen to that.
But on that note, I'm also in a really weird, lonely place because I'm here at home by myself for the week because my wife is on a business trip for her own. I start my new job next week. They immediately flying me out to California to meet up with everybody and do a bunch of corporate meetings. And then the week after that, my wife gets home and is going to Disney World with her employees because they hit their sales goal for the year. So she's taking her employees to Disney World. So I'm like, damn, this is like 3 weeks I barely get to see my wife. That is sad for me.
Right? You're gonna be like, when she gets home, it's gonna be like, all right, turn the phones off, turn everything off, put on the Marvin Gaye or the Barry Manilow, light some candles.
Yeah, man.
Pop a cork.
So
pour some wine.
Yeah.
I mean, the one positive I'll say through all this is I did get a pretty good, what is it called when they fire you? I mean,
severance pay.
Yeah, I got a pretty good severance package, so I'm actually coming out way ahead financially in the matter, but that doesn't account for all the stress getting laid off puts you through, and seeing all the layoffs in the companies that you generally work for happening. It's like, am I going to be able to find something? So, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel you on that. I went through the same deal probably about 6 or 7 months ago. Mine was like 2 hours notice out the door. I mean, I was going to be quitting in 2 months anyway, so they just gave me an early vacation for it. But I was a contract worker, though, so I didn't get any severance at all.
Well, while we're on work drama real quick, before we continue on with Nate's past 2 weeks, so I normally talk about this stuff on YapsPod, but so I'll clean it up a little bit. So there's a girl that I work with. Okay, no, I'm sorry. There is a person that I work with. They are pregnant. I guess like when I first started there, they went by Dawn and then started going by Jackson. So like they prefer to be called they or he, but they are pregnant, and it was very confusing. Like I tried to keep it, so I just started calling them Jackson. Mm-hmm. I was just like, "Hey, Jackson, how you doing?" That just solved the problem. Just always refer to them by their name. Anyway, we also have we had 3 pregnant girls up front, and one of them's already gone and not coming back after she gets on her maternity leave or whatever. And I overheard her saying, like, I'm just gonna get my GED and get an office job. And I laughed out loud, like, while I was stalking when I heard her say that, because I was like, oh, you naive youngin'. Good luck getting an office job with just a GED these days. But so she left. Then the other girl is Annie, and Annie is hilarious, right? Annie's from the ghetto. She don't take no shit from nobody. She's the sweetest fucking girl, and she's pregnant, and she's like busting ass working. She's like, I'll work till my water breaks. I don't give a damn. I'm here to make money. and then you had Jackson, who didn't do a goddamn thing while they were at work but ring people up. Like, wouldn't even wipe the counters down. And there were a couple nights that Trisha scheduled God damn it, see, I'm still doing it, them to close, but they had to do closing duties. Well, I ended up having to do closing duties before I left that night at like 7 because they said that they couldn't do it because they're not supposed to lift over a certain amount, which is true. None of our trash cans get that heavy, but it's true. And so long story short, we would always do the chores for them, except one night. One night there was no one there to do the chores but them. So they did some of them what they could and then didn't do any more. And then the person that came in the next day had to fix it and everything, yada, yada, yada. Well, that one night spawned them to go to HR and complain that they were being overworked while being pregnant, which could possibly lead to a miscarriage, yada, yada, yada. So now she's on disability leave from HR. So now we're down another person. And I'm just like, huh. And let me tell you, the only reason I bring this up is because Annie is still pregnant, still busting ass, and Annie is furious about those other 2 girls. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? Y'all can't handle this shit? God, what the fuck's wrong with these people these days? Okay. I just listen to Annie
Making
and I'm
weak
like,
ass babies.
Preach, girl, preach. But it's just tremendous. But we did just hire this new young guy who's like big football player kid. So like, hopefully they start fucking making him lift some of the heavy shit and let me rest my old ass every now and then. It's like, yeah, I'll go throw food stock all day, dog. But like, you can go make that water pallet. How about that? Those 24 packs. Fuck that. Anyways, enough about that. What you been up to other than the job stuff? Anything interesting been happening, brother?
I mean, no, man. Like, since I haven't been
Fair
working,
enough.
I've been just playing a lot of video games. Got some Persona in, got some Like a Dragon Ishin in, got some NieR Automata in, you know? Nothing too crazy. I've been kind of milking not having to do anything, honestly. It's been nice just having, because like, this is the first time in my adult life where I haven't had a job. So I've just been kind of big chilling.
I tell you, when I've gone through extended periods of time just not being able to find work, and it's always really stressful, but at the same time, it's so goddamn relaxing. It's this weirdest feeling where like you'll be just chilling like all day and then get hit with like an hour worth of dread, and like you go and do like 15 job applications because you're feeling bad about it, and then that feeling goes away and you're like, ah, and then you're just chilling again until that next hit of dread, and you're like, oh god, then I need to go apply to jobs. Oh god. What about you, Dane? What you been up to, brother?
Mostly yard work. Right about the same time, about 6 months ago, we finally got moved into our new place, and we had it put out on my land, which used to be a very, very grown-up field. So the last couple of weeks, I've been clearing the field, turning it into a yard, trimming up a bunch of trees, cutting down a bunch of trees. I'm sore as shit.
Dude, tree work ain't no joke.
No joke at all. And it's got tons and tons of like poison oak and stuff crawling up in it, and my dumb ass is swinging from it like George of the fucking jungle.
Did you get those really bad windstorms that we had come through your neck of the woods? Because
they called for it. I think we were under a tornado warning for like 15% chance, but we had like a stiff breeze for about 2 hours. That's pretty much all it came from. A little bit of thunder.
Okay, like bro, the straight line winds here. Like I think Willie talked about it on the. Was it that long ago? I don't even remember anymore. But we had really bad storms that pushed like everybody around me lost their power except for me, which was insane because I had a job interview that day.
Something was looking out for you that day.
I know. I was just like, Jesus, because that's the job I got too. So it's just like, I'm real happy it didn't go out.
Sorry for the convenience.
So I listened to the Jim Cornette Experience, and he lives in the Louisville area. And let me tell you, listening to him rant about that fucking wind was hilarious. And he was like, on Twitter, he just posted a picture of his yard, and there was a fucking huge tree that's just smashed through his fence. And he goes, my neighbor's big ass tree that's been there for like 200 years is now laying on my fucking fence. More on the experience. And he did. He ranted about this big ass tree. He's just sitting in his house listening to all this wind, and all of a sudden he just hears the loudest boom outside. He's just like, oh, God damn it.
Oh, I don't think I did talk about this on the podcast, but like, and if I did, I apologize, but it was funny as hell, so I'm going to bring it up again. But like, that was the same day, though. I was sitting in here, this room, playing Like a Dragon Ishin, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do some karaoke. That sounds like fun. And so I started doing the karaoke, and then I started doing this one song, and forgive me for not remembering which one, but you know how they always puts up these backgrounds and stuff while you're doing it? This one was extraordinarily suggestive. And I even remember looking over my shoulder, I was like, oh God, please don't let my wife come in here while I'm doing this. And sure the fuck enough, like,
of course,
I'm just doing it, pressing my buttons real fast while these girls barely wearing clothes are on my screen, and I hear her walk in and laugh, and I'm like, fuck. So then I had to spend some time. She's like, hey, like, I come out of there a little bit after that. I was like, she's like, hey honey. I'm like, what? Was that a porn game? And I'm like, sweetie, you know I'd tell you if it was, but no, that wasn't. And I had to explain to her like the Yakuza series at that point. It was just those stupid shit.
It's like, to put this in perspective for you, there's just a guy that hangs out in his underwear dancing around town.
Yeah. So I'm just like, yeah, of course that's what's gonna happen to me today. So I'm just like, it was funny as hell. Like, she doesn't care. Like, if it was, she'd think it was funny too. But I was like, at the same time, like, it's not. But I see why you think it was.
You're the only waifu for me.
Honey, obviously it wasn't a porn game. My pants were on.
Right? My pants are on.
Wait till she walks in. Like, if she walks in while we eventually do Doki Doki again.
God.
Honey, are you just talking to cartoon girls? Yes. Oh my goodness.
It's like the moment when you find out she's a coder and like, I'm okay with this. I can deal with this.
Hey there, you wonderful listeners. I have a question for you. Do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place and for free. How can you beat that? It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here is how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, there are Q&A and poll options available, and those are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it has made doing my shows like the Steam Machine Podcast, Yabs Pod, and the JRPG Report much, much easier to do. Like, being able to just go on there, record them, upload it, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay for a site service to host or anything like that. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. I will say, you brought up tree work. I want to tell you boys just a quick story about one of the scariest moments of my entire life. So when I was about 15 or 16, in my side yard, a tree had fell and landed, and it was leaning in another tree. So I was like, I wanted to work out, and I also wanted to cut that up. So I was like, I'll use my axe that my grandpa had given me. It was a wood handle, just with the thing on there, old school fucking axe, right? So I'm out there, and I'm swinging, and I'm chopping, and I'm getting this thing. I'm about halfway through, and I give it a good fucking swing. and the head of the axe goes right over the tree, and the handle hits the tree. Boom! Which broke the handle, but sent the fucking axe head back at me, and it hit me blunt side, square in the chest. Boom! And left a bruise on my chest. I was like, if that would have flipped anymore, that shit would have went right in the center of my chest, and I'd have been like, oh!
That'll make you pee a little.
Yeah.
Dude, you tell me about. So flash forward to like either last year or the year before. I'm in the same side yard with my chainsaw, and my mom's like, I would have never believed you if you told me this if I had not witnessed this happen. So I'm trying to cut this tree down, and I'm low on the tree, just going, and all of a sudden, I don't know if something caught, because it just went, and it ripped the side plate off of the fucking chainsaw, through the fucking chain one direction, and through the blade holder part the other direction, and I was left just holding the motor with it going. It was still on. I don't remember what brand it was, but I mean, hell, it was still fucking running after flying apart. But I'm just standing there in awe, like, oh, holy shit, that chain could have flew up and hit me like in the face, across the throat, anywhere, and just sliced me open. And while it's just quiet, and I just hear, holy shit, come from my mom, who does not talk like that usually. She's like, what the fuck just happened?
I think there's a ghost in that side yard trying to murder you, Dalton.
That's what it's, yeah, dude. So now I just drag trees to the backyard over here by the fire pit, and then I'll cut them up there. Like, I don't do shit over there anymore. Straight up. I'm like, no, that's twice now I've almost died from trying to cut things over there. I'll bring them over.
You got
here.
evil Kodama gunning for your ass.
Apparently.
Dude,
so
speaking of trying to kill yourself doing yard work, I actually was trimming a bush. Not that bush, but a bush in my front yard. And like, so I just had this like a little electric hedge trimmer basically. So this bush was well overgrown. It's like a rose bush that's like, I like get to about 9 feet tall. So like,
now a rose tree.
Pretty much, yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm so tired of this damn rose bush. Every time I try to get into the passenger seat of my wife's car, it grabs me. So I just go out there and I'm cutting it up, and I'm just like, it's coming down and all this stuff, and I'm getting a little bit careless, right? So like, I took my other hand off of it, and I was kind of using the hedge trimmer like this and grabbing parts of the rose bush to try to like get a better cut angle. Got my middle finger caught in between like some of the blades that were going, and it went, and I'm like, fuck! And I threw the hedge trimmer, and like, I don't look immediately. Like, so I grabbed my fist like this and put my hand down. I was like, I don't want to look at this. It doesn't hurt yet either. It's the thing. Like, you know how when you do that, you get that initial shock and it doesn't hurt. Like,
which makes it scarier.
Yeah. So I'm like,
yeah.
All right, I need to fucking look at this. So I look at it, and it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it. I'm like, really? And then just blood starts pouring out of my middle finger.
God, bro. I had a camping a Swiss Army knife shut on my pinky. I still have a scar from it, and same thing. It doesn't hurt at first, and I pulled the blade out, and I'm looking at my fucking knuckle, like the bone. I'm like, oh, I'm surprised that's not bleeding. And I bent my finger, and it just shot blood out like a fucking gun. And I was like 10, so then I started freaking the fuck out. But yeah, dude, it's amazing how like that first initial, it's like your body sends like nerve killers there or something, until it's finally like, okay, now you can fucking hurt, you dumb shit.
Yeah. So like, I just busted the house. I just pour a bunch of hydrogen peroxide over it, wrap it up, and so like, and then then when I go back out there, I put gloves on and finish the job. But I came back in and checked it. It's healing really well. Like, it doesn't feel like infected at all. Like, you can like barely see, like, well, the camera doesn't want to, but like, I was like, I kind of got away kind of lucky there, because I think it was cutting through branches thicker than my fucking fingers. So I'm just like,
dude, I've done the whole one-handed thing too, cutting, trimming bushes and everything. Yeah. But my buddy Wes, one time when we were doing property preservation, we had to trim these palm trees. These palm trees were like 4 stories tall. So Wes, we had a like one of the, like one of the extension ladders that you can stretch out. So we had one of those maxed out. I stood on the bottom rung, so my weight was on it. Wes climbed and stood on the very fucking top of it. And hugged the tree. And he had the not a hedge trimmer, I'm sorry, pole saw, completely extended and using one arm while holding onto a tree trying to cut these things. And I was like, OSHA would shit their fucking pants if they knew this was going on right now.
Like, I am just thinking about that. That's awful.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it gives me that weird feeling in my balls just picturing being up there. Like, I'm just like, nah, no thanks. I'm good. I don't like heights I like roller coasters. They still fuck with my stomach. So I'm not doing no.
No, on a rickety ass ladder, I can't do that. Like, I can get on a tall bridge or whatever and look over and be like, yeah, this is safe. But like on a rickety ass ladder, like, no thanks. I'm good.
Yeah. While you're hugging a tree like 20 feet in the air. So no, dude. Yeah, no, fuck that. Oh, man. Anything else you've been up to just besides the yard work?
Well, before we started on NieR, I finally got to try out the first couple of levels of Hi-Fi Rush. That rhythm game mixed with an action game. Y'all heard about that one yet?
A little bit. I haven't seen any gameplay of it yet, though.
I think I've heard the name, but that's about it.
It's pretty awesome game. Like, everything happens on the beat. So if you're the type of person who has a hard time getting dodge timing down, you get a leg up in that respect, and you get extra points and do extra damage if you're actually hitting the buttons on the beat. But like the first boss battle in the game, and I forget the name of the song, but it was a 9 Inch Nails song. So instantly I'm sold with the game.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to getting back to that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I can't afford it right now.
Other than that, not a whole lot interesting going on my end.
I can't afford it right now, but I saw that Metal Hellsinger game is on sale right now on Steam.
I might pick that up because it just looks so good.
Dude, it's like Doom, but if you shoot everything on beat, you get better scores and stuff. And it's just, I don't know, it just seems super cool.
Yeah, it seems awesome.
And they brought in a ton of fantastic metal vocalists to do stuff for that game too. I would like to say that I've been up to a bunch of things that are very interesting, but I really haven't. I've just been working my fucking dick off. Dealing with some like just weird life things that have been happening to me recently that I'm not going to get into on this show. But like, other than that, last night, as we finished recording Yabs Pod, it was midnight. WWE 2K23 comes out this Friday, but I got the Icon edition, so I got 3 days early access. So I did some quick math in my head and was like, ooh, so I closed Steam completely and then reopened it. And that beautiful button went from coming March 17th to install. And I went, yes. So I've been playing that, and I'm probably going to play more when we're done here because it's real good. I had my first crash today, and I'm like, that's okay. It's early access, and they still, they're going to have to hammer out some bugs because there were some bugs in the beginning of 2K22. That turned out to be a fucking fantastic game because they actually listened and would fix things that people complained about, which is not something that the older companies would do. So I do have faith in it.
How's it feeling compared to 22 so far?
So gameplay is relatively similar. I feel like the way that they did the mocapping or however they did it is a little more fluid this year. The referees look like they move a little less robotically and more like humans, which is nice.
So less like androids.
Yeah, it's less like androids.
Oh, someone's working up a segue.
So then, other than that, like the visuals are fantastic. I have noticed, so there's camera cutaways when you're doing like a move that's particularly strong or whatever, and the camera cutaways seem to be in 30 frames compared to whatever I'm running normally, which is weird. So I don't know if I haven't fucked with the settings at all yet because I've just been so enamored with going in and creating Blade and downloading some guys and creating my universe show and yada yada yada. And GM mode's already started and rolling up. Which they hella updated GM mode. I am super happy because in the old game, you got like to pick whether you wanted to do like 4 weeks, 8 weeks, up to like 52 weeks, or you could do an entire year. But then after it was over, that save file was completed and you had to start over if you wanted to do another one. This year, there are seasons, and your goal was to get into the Hall of Fame, and you have to complete goals over these seasons, and you can choose one. You can either play against one AI or 3 AI, or 1, 2, or 3. So there could be 4 total. So of course I made all 4. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this, and dove in head first. But after you get into the Hall of Fame, you can continue playing.
Nice.
So like GM mode is now this indefinite thing, and I'm like, that is what I've been wanting since SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Like, I am so fucking happy that this game could crash like Forza Horizon 4 and I'm still going to put like 300 hours into it. Which, let's talk about that real quick, sir. I was so happy for you when you were playing Horizon 4 at first because you were not experiencing the fucking crashing issues that I was having. And then all of a sudden, I started noticing that you were saying that it was just crashing on you like after like 20 minutes. And I'm like, yep. Yeah, that game's real fun for like 19 and a half minutes. And then it freezes every time.
It's such bullshit because you look it up and it's like, for some reason, they won't patch the game to work with new drivers or whatever. It's like, it's like everybody on Steam's like, oh yeah, if you just downgrade your NVIDIA driver to this version, the game won't crash anymore. It's like, why the hell should I have to downgrade my NVIDIA driver to play a video game? Like,
yeah, I'm going to make all these other games run worse so I can make this one run better.
It's just so stupid.
It's hella annoying. And the fact that like there's no mod fix for it either is interesting too. That's one reason I like when like certain games release their mod tools, specifically Bethesda. Like, I don't think Bethesda games would be nearly as popular as they are on PC if they didn't have the modding community.
No. If you couldn't make the dragons the cream of the crop, who would be playing Skyrim still? I mean...
Yeah. Ooh.
You punched the shit out of your mic.
I did. I just hit the shit out of my mic on accident. But yeah, man. I also have been playing this game. It's just called Pro Wrestling Simulator. And this one I won't go nearly as in deep with because it's pretty boring. Do you guys remember those old simulator games that were all text-based where you'd like run a baseball team and things like that? It's that, but with pro wrestling.
Yeah, I played pro wrestling ones back in the day.
Okay, well then, yeah. So it's a new one. It's basically supposed to be like these people's spiritual successor to like the TEW. I think it was Total Elite Wrestling or whatever, that series. And I've had a blast. I mean, I downloaded a couple different rosters that I've been messing around with. I downloaded the current day roster, of course, and it gives me the rosters for like all of the places. So like I immediately went and started looking at contracts for people and was like, okay, you're on a pay per appearance. Okay. Sign you for 5 years. Fuck that other company because I got WWF money or WWE money. But then I've been watching through 2002, 2003 Raw and SmackDown. And so I got 2002 roster from WWF back in the day. And then it also put in like, WCW, what was remnant of ECW, I think was in WWF by that time and maybe WCW as well. But then you also get your Japanese companies, your Ring of Honors, that kind of stuff. And I just have a lot of fun, dude, because you can really get in depth with booking your segments to the point that like, okay, so I set it for, I'm going to use two guys as an example. Let's go Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. Everybody pretty much knows who they are. So I'll set Randy Savage entrance, 2 minutes. So that's him coming to the ring. Then he cuts a promo on Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan then makes an entrance. And I set the time for those. They come out, they have a war of words. They might have a brawl and a pull apart. And I get to set the length of all of this. And I have like my runtime. And you got to keep that in mind. You got to keep it exciting. It's fun. And there's nothing but text. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's one of those games that I'm happy that I have the imagination that I do. Because I can play it all out in my fucking head. But it's just so fun. It's just so fun. But enough about wrestling. This is not Grumpy Jeff's Pro Wrestling Power Hour coming soon to a podcast feed near you. We have been playing, and in fact, a good tie-in to some androids and things like that is that in one of the 2K games, you could play as Terminator and you could kick ass. Right? And he had a pretty damn cool entrance. He had one where he just appeared, and then he had the one where he come in on his motorcycle. You had either.
So the Undertaker entrance or the American Badass entrance, got it.
More or less, yeah. So we played NieR Automata. I think everybody can agree it's not Automata.
Old tomato.
Well, if you're going by the game, it does finally get said at one point. The game officially calls it Automata.
Automata?
So if you want to go by the actual game, that is the correct pronunciation, but I will always say Automata.
NieR Automata. Automatopoeia.
Yeah.
But yeah, so before we even get into our like first impressions and all of that, we do have some O-dubs. The obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. NieR Automata, see, I'm still going to call it that too, is a 2017 action role-playing game developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix. It is a sequel to 2010's NieR itself being a spin-off and sequel to the Drakengard series. Let me rephrase that. NieR is based on one of the endings that you can get in Drakengard 3, where like this big demi AI human thing appears in like downtown New York or Tokyo or something and just fucking destroys it. That's just a random ending that you can get in Drakengard 3, and like they spawned NieR from that, and then from NieR came NieR Automata. And NieR Automata was originally released for the PlayStation 4 and Windows via Steam, and an Xbox One port published the following year. A Nintendo Switch port was released in 2022, and from all facets that I have heard, the port of NieR on Switch is fantastic.
Really?
Apparently so.
That's surprising.
Because I considered
said that they were really impressed.
Because I considered getting it for the Switch, because I was like, if I'm going to pay full price for it, I might want to get it on a console. But then I was like, PC versus Switch performance. I think I'm going to stick with the PC.
And there's a couple other interesting things here. NieR Automata is set during a proxy war between alien-created machines and human-crafted androids, focusing on the actions of Combat Android 2B, Scanner Android 9S, and a rogue prototype named A2. Story requires multiple playthroughs, with each playthrough revealing new story elements. The gameplay combines role-playing elements with action-based hack-and-slash combat, and it includes gameplay from other video game genres, with elements varying from shoot-'em-up to text adventure. So we'll cover some of that. But yeah, so first impressions, let's go with the guest. I almost said Nate, and I just said let's go with the guest, and then I'm looking at Nate. Dane.
I don't know which one of us should be more offended.
What was your first impression with this game?
When I first booted it up, and I started going through, I'm expecting an action game. I'm like, hey, I've got plenty of Devil May Cry under my belt. We just finished Metal Gear Solid, or I fucked it up already. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. I'm feeling badass. Let's jump in on hard mode. So after getting my dick punched in for 2 hours on the prologue, I said, let's bring this down a peg. So I played through this game on normal. And when I first actually got to start doing the melee combat, I tried to use the guns, and it just felt wonky. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be miserable. I don't know what it was about the way the shooting portion went. It just wasn't clicking for me. I put the game down for a day. So the initial impression, I was like, this is going to feel like just a slog. I was hoping for better. But then it clicked, and even though it's not as in-depth as the toward action games I love, the gameplay ended up being really satisfying, especially when you start unlocking more abilities as you go along.
Yeah.
So just really hard hump, especially with that just harder than balls intro that you have no save points during.
Okay, let me ask really quickly. Dane, you said you died during the prologue. Right?
Several times.
Nate, you also died during the prologue.
I died during the boss of the prologue.
Okay, me too. So it's like all three of us got to that fucking like boss and then died and realized, oh shit, we have to do all of that over again.
Yep.
Because there is no save point, and it's like, God, leave it to Square Enix. I feel like there should have been a floating save crystal in this game somewhere, because that's what it reminded me of, is like those old days, which I guess they kind of had the save points of their own, but
and the thing about that too was just so random to me, and I know we're still in first impressions, but I just kind of want to say something about that, is like save points through the rest of the game were not hard to come across, but for some reason they wanted you to play this almost hour-long section of the game multiple times for some reason.
Yeah, dude, it's brutal hard right there, right straight off. Even on easy, it's not. I mean, let me put it this way: normal kicked my ass. When I put the prologue on easy, I was able to beat it, but I was still getting hit, and like it was still doing damage and stuff. And I was like, sheesh, I can't imagine this on hard. And to hear that you even tried, Dane. like
No joke, it punched me in the dick for 2 solid hours before I finally stepped down to normal. And after going to normal, like, I breezed through that fucking opening, but I couldn't even get to the boss on hard.
Wow.
I was doing good to get through the opening shoot 'em up section.
Oh wow!
It's that big a step, huh? Wow.
And I don't know if it was just not comfortable with the controls yet, or if it was just that ball crushingly difficult. But yeah, it took me forever to get through that opening to be able to even actually start the hack and slash portion.
What about you, Nate? What was your first impression of this game? I was very interested in what you were going to think of, like, that beginning section.
Yeah, like, honestly, I decided, you know, like, I know my skill level. I'm playing this on normal, no matter what. Like, I'm not going to try to go hard. I don't feel like I'm going to need to go easy. I'm a little bit of a gamer, so let's go on normal. So I dived in, and I did not have that experience at all where I thought it was incredibly difficult. So I'm like, man, hard mode must really be a bitch in this game. I thought that it was really fun, like the intro, like kind of shmuppy section of the game where it just starts you off and you're flying around shooting things. And then it has like 2 different kinds of flight-based combat. One where you're basically, you're a traditional shmup where you're just shooting forward at enemies coming down kind of towards you. And then it has like that 360 degrees kind of style as well, which I thought was really neat. And I really like that section a lot. And then you jump right into the action combat section where I thought the way they built that out was pretty interesting, where you have your melee attack and you also have like your pod, which is like, if you play shmup games, it's kind of like when you have an option that surrounds you and shoots for you too. Kind of like that, following you, you can control that and shoot, like aim with your right stick and shoot with the right bumper, which I thought was a really interesting thing I hadn't seen in a game like that before. And I think I took to that quicker than Dane did, but that might just be the difference between hard and normal. Because I do know that there is a difference between hard and normal, where normal will let you lock on to enemies, and hard, I think, takes away the lock-on ability.
Yeah, the harder difficulties do take away the lock on, and that was probably what was really screwing me over when I first started.
Yeah. Like, I got pretty good at aiming, like, about halfway through the game without locking on very much, but the lock-on at the beginning of the game definitely felt necessary. But yeah, as far as first impression, I thought the game was like, jumps you right into the action really fast and hard, and I think it was fun. And it looks great. Like, yeah, I was pretty impressed from the beginning. I didn't have that initial, like, oh shit, this is going to suck that Dane had. Like, from the beginning, I could kind of tell that it was going to be less in-depth than Metal Gear Rising was, but at the same time, I felt like it was going to be a little bit more in-depth than, like, Yakuza is, you know?
Yeah, I can get that. Excuse me. The now, since I played on easy, and there was an option in when you're setting your chips and stuff later on for auto targeting and things like that. Did you guys have any access to those, or was that just an easy mode thing?
I didn't see it if it did.
Most of the auto chips are turned off during normal mode. Okay. I think auto heal is probably the only one I think it's still that you use, where it'll automatically throw a healing item on you when you get hurt.
Okay.
Do you have like the? Sorry, this is later conversation. Go, keep going, Dalton. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I just used the auto targeting one for fights where there was like a lot of enemies around. But I didn't like the fact that my gun would also automatically shoot for me. Mm. I felt like that was too cheaty, so I would turn that off usually. But I thought that was an interesting, because there's a bunch of different ones. There's ones that actually do, like, you could basically set it up to where if you just wanted to run around and experience the story, the game will fight for you. Kind of like Gambits in Final Fantasy 12, but you can just like set up where like 9S will just go in there and attack shit for you, and you don't have to do anything. Now I didn't do that because I'm like, no, I still want to go in there and kick butt and all that. But so my first impression when I loaded this up, I was like, I remember because when I first played it was a while back when I first got it, and I was just like, wow, I was not expecting to shoot 'em up. I thought that this was something different. And then all of a sudden it goes, like you said, from that like 2D top-down shoot 'em up to being the 3D space moving around shoot 'em up as other things are coming at you. And then when it drops you down into the action, that's when it became like Android May Cry. And I thought it flowed so fucking well. You know what I mean? Like there was no sequence break, but yet
Yeah, it just shifts the camera, and it's like you're in a totally different game mode.
But it felt fluid. It never felt jarring to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where it's like some games can switch the style, and all of a sudden, for instance, like a forced stealth mission. Nobody likes a forced stealth mission in a game where you've been running around being Nate the Barbarian, just going in and just punching shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the fact that this didn't really have any of that type of bullshit to deal with that I can remember, but everything just flowed. There was never a break in like the action. When everything was happening, it was happening. And then once it was over, then you might have your time to breathe and relax. Like I thought the pacing, I guess that was the word I was looking for. The pacing is just tremendous in this game. So I am curious. Now let's go ahead and cover up front. I beat the game one time. Nate, you beat the game one time as well.
Correct.
Right? And Dane, you went hardcore and beat the game. How many?
If you want to get technical, I got the 4 or 5 endings, but it's only really 3 full playthroughs.
Okay. So, full disclosure, we'll probably not cover a ton of stuff from the other one. I would really like to cover that one ending because I feel like it doesn't spoil a whole lot for what happens before it, as long as we don't touch on that. It's just the moment itself is cool to talk about. Dane, if you know what I'm talking about with the credits.
Yeah.
I feel like we can go into that without spoiling too much of the actual, like the rest of the story. But the fact, so I almost get why this game almost never goes on sale, because you spend your money and you get this playthrough and you're like, damn, that was a good game. Because I have played games that I've spent more money on that were shorter than this. And then they drop on there, oh, this game's meant to be played multiple times to experience it fully. So like give it another shot. And then to hear that, okay, so you spent say you spent $60 on this game when it was brand fucking new, but there's 3 full playthroughs. So really you're getting 3 versions of this game. So like $20 a piece. So if you hash it out like that, you're really, it's a pretty good game, like a deal for the money. And I don't know why I brought that up. Why did I bring that up? What the fuck? My brain just blanked, son, right in the middle of that sentence. I'm like, why? Where was I going with this?
Probably because I bitched about it never going on sale since it won the game
probably,
poll.
yeah. That probably was.
I think I bought it on one of the 2 times it ever went on sale.
Here's a bit of a spoiler for everyone. I don't regret paying full price for this game.
No, yeah, me neither. Me neither. So was there anything about this that jumped out to you? Because we don't have to go beat by beat, story for story. But was there anything that really jumped out to you guys that was like a major moment that made you be like, oh, where's this going? Because I had a few different moments.
So the basic,
on the first run. Oh, sorry.
I might want to kind of give a little bit of disclosure of what the game's kind of about before we kind of talk about any points enough in the story. It's like, so basically, you're an android 2B when you start out the game, who's this cool badass android girl that kills everything around her because she's a badass. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And like she's a combat model, essentially, is what they kind of tell you. And on your first mission, you meet this other android named 9S, who's more of a scout model, who, let's be real, that dude could fight just as well as she could.
Yeah, he's also a badass, but he just is considered a scout, getting information
and
style.
Like, I guess this kind of answers your question a little bit too. Like, one of the first things that I've really thought was really interesting was just their dynamic together. Like, where she was kind of this hard ass, so just let's get this mission done, not worry about emotions and all this. And whereas 9S seemed really curious about everything that was going on, wanted to get to know 2B better. And I don't know, it's like I like their relationship a lot, which is something I didn't expect for a game where the main characters were androids. Yeah,
you kind of expect them to just be very
well,
I guess that's a visual thing, but yeah, just very straightforward to the point, like kind of like 9S or not 9S. 2B. I'm sorry, 2B was.
2B was until she wasn't, right?
Until she wasn't.
Yeah, and like the whole concept is like, humans have been living on the moon for the last 200 years. Is that what it was? Because of the aliens that came and sent all these robots essentially that took over the world from them, and they went to a hideaway on the moon, and the androids are trying to fight back and get the humans back to where they can live on the Earth again.
I will tell you a quick interesting fact that I'm just reading here is that I don't remember if they mentioned this in the game, and if they did, please feel free to call me an idiot. But this story takes place in 11,945 AD. So this game's like 9,000 years in the future. So it's like the technology. Think about technology that would be existing from then, just to give people like a kind of a visualization of how advanced these androids are. Like they pretty much bleed.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty much indistinguishable from human at this point.
Yeah. Other than I think they have
and the year is significant too. I don't know if you caught that. 10,000 years past 1945.
Oh.
What was going on in 1945?
Yeah.
World War.
That's a really good point.
Oh shit. Yeah. No, I did not catch that actually.
But yeah. So I think that's just kind of important context is like that there were aliens that sent robots that took over the world and the humans have been living on the moon and the androids are that resistance fighting the robots, basically trying to make the Earth somewhere the humans can come back to.
Now, I think the war, you find out a couple of dates in later playthroughs. I think the war between androids and machines has been going on for something in terms of millennia, like 6,000 years. So it's been a very, very long war within this game series.
And I'll say like one of the big things that jumped out to me was just kind of like an underlying story throughout the entire, at least first playthrough of the game, is this concept of machines discovering sentience, almost like self.
Self-awareness, like they discover like emotions, like
Yeah.
true feelings. It seems like they're having for other robots, like they're referring to each other as their big sister, little sister. Like they've like kind of assimilated all this human culture they've learned into their own, and have kind of started even breaking away from the robot norm, starting their own villages, starting their own worship practices, like worshiping their own gods and things like that.
Yeah, and being peaceful instead of choosing war, like all that kind of dude. This game really made me start to think about machinery and AI and like where it could go eventually, like long after we're gone, like the shit that would hang around. Think about like they've created robots these days, but think about if like one of your homeboys that you hang out with, you go have a beer with him and you never really notice he never really sips his beer, right? And then like that motherfucker's just and you could never know at this point. I don't know. It blew my mind. The entire playing through of this game just was like a mind boggle for me because I've always had this weird issue with AI and androids and things like that. But one thing that I want to touch on too is, did you guys have any? No, I think Nate. I think you said you didn't really mess with them much. Side quests, like did either of you do any meaningful ones? Because I do have a couple that I wanted to bring up. Then I'm going to let you guys go off on what some of the things that you liked about it.
The one main side quest that I remember, like I did dive into, was like there's a place where you go to this robot village, right? And there's a couple side quests there that I kind of went down the rabbit hole on. There's this one where you meet this robot, and I forgot his name, unfortunately. Like he was kind of a philosopher type robot who has all these followers throughout the
Jean
Paul.
something. Yeah, Jean
Paul. And like basically you go out and meet all of his followers who have gifts for him, and you can just tell this robot actually does not give a shit about any of these people that follow him, and you're kind of wondering what's this robot's real deal. And there was something that alluded to in the second playthrough that made me want to know even more, that I'm hoping might get revealed more as you play through the game. But like I said, I played through a game like 1.5 times essentially. That one, and then there was this other one there. This robot's like, my little sister, she got lost in the desert. Can you please help me find my little sister? And I'm like, I have to help this robot find her little sister. Yeah. God damn it. Because like you start to see these robots have real emotions. Like obviously it's a video game, but you know what I'm saying? These robots have real emotions and you want to help them out. So you do help her, and just like, man, I feel good that I helped this robot because now she's happy again. And like, oh man, this robot has emotions and I care about how she feels.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, when you go get the little sister and you find her and it's that classic video game trope of, it's like the brothers from Final Fantasy VIII where it's like, I'm going to get my older brother and the older one's small. Yeah. And the younger one's just this big beefy one. That was the same thing in this one, which made me giggle. But also like that walk with the little sister robot across the desert and like her asking these questions and like a machine being curious isn't new to me, but them like being curious about emotional things.
Yeah.
Like what is sand? Like what is ground? And then like where do humans come from? Where do babies come from? And all, and I was also like,
androids getting uncomfortable with that question was what amused me on that one.
Like Doness is like,
I don't.
To be a little helpier, you're the chatty one.
Yeah.
Under the bus.
Yeah. Yeah, 2B was very quick to be like, oh no, don't
No, this is your problem, not us.
And again, that added to the dynamic between those two, which slowly changed over the course of the game. I loved that one moment where, and I don't know if we may have touched on this too, where this game, when you're in the 3D action mode, also sometimes it'll just change to a 2.5D side-scrolling platformer fighter kind of game too. So like there's certain moments where you're doing that. So there was this one where you're like going through this area that had multiple levels, and she calls him Nines, and he's like, "What? Did you just called me Nines?" No, I didn't. Yeah. No, you totally did. Or whatever the conversation was, but he was totally excited about that. And she's like, "We're here to do a mission."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, but you called me Nines." I loved it, man. But there's two side quests in particular that really stuck out to me. Like I said, and I wanted to bring these up, and then I'll let you guys run on what you want to talk about. But like the parade. Mm-hmm. So you come across these robots that just want to spread love, and they want you to protect their parade because people want to kill them for trying to spread the word of love. And I could not help but equate that to like having to protect like a pride parade type thing, where it's like people wanting to, and I was just like, oh my God. So I am doing my best. I didn't let one of them die. Like I was like very adamant that I'm like, I'm not letting any of you die.
Unfortunately, when I tried that quest, I was supremely underleveled for it.
Same here.
Oh no.
They all died, and I said, cut my losses.
I'll try again later. I never went back to it, unfortunately.
Oh, me either.
There's other parts to it. Like they wanted to do more parades, and I only ever did the one, and I'm disappointed in myself. Because I only used one save slot for this game, so it's not like I can go back and go try to do it again. But the other one was, did you guys find the fucking robot that just wanted to race you?
Yeah.
I didn't get that one.
Did you beat him?
I did the first race, yeah.
Okay, so I beat him all three races. It took me I don't even want to tell you how many fucking tries that last race took me. That first race took me like fucking 30 tries.
Really? I did it on like the third try.
Oh, bro, I don't know what the fuck I kept doing wrong. But he kept, like, there were like at least 4 times that we hit at the same moment, but he had to have been a millimeter in front of me, and it gave it to him, and I was like, God damn it. But when you finish the quest, he's like, all right, you finally proved that you're faster than me. My purpose in life was to be the speedster, and you are now the new speedster. I thought I would be sad in this moment, but I feel content. I'm happy and content. My purpose is served. And he fucking blows up. And I'm just like, oh shit, dude. And then his little guy who was holding the flag for him and he fucking blows up behind me. And I'm like, oh my God. I thought we were going to be friends. What is this shit? No, they just like, no, okay, thank you for beating us. Our purpose has been served. We no longer are needed. Goodbye. Boom. Oh, and it's like, they're machines. I shouldn't care. They shouldn't have feelings. That shouldn't matter. A toaster should be a goddamn toaster. But because of the brave little toaster, I always tell my toaster, good job, when it toasts things and doesn't burn it. So, like, God damn it, dude. Like, I had a lot of moments like that in this game where it was like, it really hit me in the feels, man. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the big takeaway, though, is like, you go into the game thinking, yeah, I'm going to go save this world from the robots, and then you start meeting all the robots, and you're like, I don't want to kill all these robots now.
Yeah, I got that feeling really early on. I didn't get that far into the weeds with the side quests and stuff, but whenever I got to the amusement park, I just assumed that once I got in there, they would start aggroing on me, so I took the strike first approach. And as I'm slaughtering all of these parading, happy, dancing robots, and they're screaming, ow, no, pain, I'm like, I don't feel very good about this.
Yeah.
I didn't stop, but I didn't feel good about it.
Yeah, I saw you got that achievement for killing the I didn't get that achievement.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I got the killing them achievement for attacking non-aggressive
Yeah.
ones, and that was my. Maybe I shouldn't go in swords a swinging. Hack first, ask questions never. But
There were a few moments in the game that were kind of like that, where like you would be introduced to these situations with these machines, and you realized, oh wait, they're not attacking me. Okay, so let's just wander around and see what the fuck's going on here. Pascal's Village being another one that comes to mind, where like you show up in there and like everyone's like friendly, and like you were talking about getting side quests from there. And,
Yeah.
I really liked Pascal as a character. Threw me off though that they kept calling Pascal he. And then when you called it was like, "Hi, how you doing?"
Yeah.
But I suppose that's just machine.
yeah, that threw me a little too.
Yeah, Pascal was a good robot. And honestly, I think that's a big part of the theme of the game is just like, you're going in expecting one thing and it gives you not what you expect a bunch of times, like gameplay-wise, story-wise. Like there's so many story beats we could talk about, but I think that just the main takeaway of the game is nothing is what you expect it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm sure both of you agree because we've kind of basically in a roundabout way said this. There were a few times during this game where I'm like, are we the villain? Like, are androids the bad guys in this situation? Like, what the fuck is going on here? And at least in the first playthrough, I never really got an answer to that question.
No.
So I don't know. I mean, I do kind of know because of I watched the retrospective video on it, but it's one of those things that even though I kind of know what's going on now, I still want to play through it and see it for myself and experience it. I don't know how to describe.
I'll tell you, I got spoiled on a lot of the plot details, especially from the third portion of the game. Even being spoiled on some of that stuff, playing through it still really hits you. And there's one thing I keep thinking about while I was playing this game. It was something that kept popping up in my head. Dalton, you're a Stephen King fan, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
All right. Have you? Oh, you too. All right. Have you all read the Dark
Yes.
Tower books?
No. That is on my list of things I really want to read, though.
My opinion, best thing he ever wrote, but that's beside the point. There is a phrase that they use a lot in the Dark Tower books because this is kind of a post-apocalyptic world that's kind of like Earth, but not exactly. They talk a lot about how this is a world that has moved on. And that was the kind of feel that I got the whole time playing NieR Automata. This is a world that has moved on from humanity.
Yeah.
And you can tell like there's just little glimpses of it here and there, but it's just moved forward, and there's just this deep melancholy the whole time, very atmospheric.
Yeah.
And it
yeah.
only gets deeper as you go through and start getting the other endings into the third act.
And very muted color palettes, I think, added to that too. Like nothing was very bright and vibrant, unless like maybe some grass or something here and there. But
Yeah, and the thing is like you see all these ruins of what was clearly the human civilization. Like there's one part where you end up in the desert and you meet this one place and you see this place. You're like, what was this for? And your pod kind of like, this was what was once known as an apartment complex. And you're like, God damn.
yeah, this was once a shopping mall.
Yeah.
Where people would come to spend money.
And when you go to that shopping mall, it's another scene where like the androids, like you're talking about, like how like the robots that are having their free will, the androids with like 9S looks like talks to he's like, if we were humans, we might have went shopping here.
Focus on the mission.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just crazy stuff like that. And one thing I kind of want to touch on too is like we've obviously mentioned there's multiple playthroughs at this point. Like the first one you're playing through is 2B. The second one, when you start that up, you're 9S this time when you're playing through the game. So you're seeing everything, basically the same game through 9S's perspective of it. There's a few parts in the game I really want to get to in 9S because I want to see how that plays out in his mind. Because like I thought it was really fascinating on that first mission playing it as 9S. But one thing that really stands out to me in that playthrough too is like it goes a little bit deeper into the lore of what's going on with the robots too. Like they do such a good job of splitting the story in ways that you do need to play it multiple times to see it. Because like Dalton, I don't think you got this far, but there was one point like you remember in the amusement park area where you fought that major boss that like took care of like you get so much more of that robot's backstory when you play it as 9S, because you do the hacking stuff and he can kind of read into her brain a little bit more. And it just like totally changes your perspective of that one robot that you just thought was this complete evil, twisted, scary ass boss. And then you get to see like the quote unquote humanity within her when you play that same boss fight as 9S, and it's just wild to me.
That was one thing I really found interesting, is that it switched the perspective. And yeah, is that there's a few things. The retrospective video that I watched said that playing through his 9S really like hammers home how fucking integral he was to what 2B was doing in her playthrough, like behind the scenes, what he was hacking, and you know, when he would find the points for you to go in and be like, that's where you need to shoot to destroy this, and like things like that. Yeah,
you even see that in the first mission as 9S. It's like really cool because you see what 9S was doing while 2B was just making her initial flight down, and get to see what happens from 9S's perspective when he's doing the hacking, what 9S was doing when he was laying on top of that Colossus, just basically almost dead before 2B beat the boss and gets to him, what he was doing during that time period. Just like wild. I loved it.
I will say, so how do I'm going to word this without giving any spoilers, but Dane will know what I'm talking about. There are revelations later on, I think it's in the third playthrough, about 2B and 9S that absolutely make this game go from sad to fucking tragic. Like, and
it only gets worse.
And it kind of explains why the dynamic is the way it is between them two. And it's, oh, chef's kiss. I would hug Yoko Taro if I could, if I ever met him in his fucking weird helmet that he wears. Emil's head. Oh, yeah. Did you meet him? Did you ever find Emil? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you get a glimpse of Emil in the shopping mall when you first show up there.
That's right. I found him really shortly after that, too, driving his little shop cart around.
Yeah, I had to shoot him to make him stop. It was like, he's freaking out. You got to calm him down. Give him a whack. So I whacked him, and he was like, oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll sell you something. Fun fact, he's a secret boss.
No, I kind of thought he might be.
So you can go to, I think it's his lair underground, and fight him. But it's another one of those things where you don't fucking feel good about it. It was in an Outside Xbox video, I think, about like bosses that make you feel bad for beating them. And Emil was in there because it's like, you beat him, and he's just like, oh, okay. I guess you can just take whatever you want then. You can just have it. And he's super defeated, and you're just like, oh, God. Oh, God. No, I'll pay. I'll pay double. No, please. Yeah. Another just quick fun fact of another secret boss that's in this game. I think it's in one of the DLC. You get to fight, I think it's like a max level CEO of Square Enix. I don't remember Homeboy's name. Hold on, I have it pulled up here. CEO boss fight. Yeah, what is his name? Oh, Yosuke. Oh, yeah. Yosuke Masuda.
That's funny.
You could just fight him. He's just the CEO, and you just kick his ass. And then there's like another dude that you could fight too. There's, I don't know. Very strange though, that they just threw that in. Oh, here we go. It's the guy from Square Enix, and then also Kenichi Sato, who's the CEO of Platinum Games. So you can just beat up the CEOs.
Wouldn't mind punching a couple CEOs myself. So
yeah, right.
No joke.
So you guys want to talk about the first ending? Maybe not full details, but that. So there's the scene in particular. I think we all know what I'm referencing is when shit's done. Like you think that you've saved everything, and you're standing there, and you turn around, and 9S is like, I really messed up, and he's got that virus black spreading on him that Eve had. It was Eve, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Eve that died, and there was Adam at the end?
Yeah.
It was okay, yeah. Yeah, there's two. By the way, there's two androids that you watch get birthed from a big ball of machines.
Well, they're not androids; they're robots. It's really confusing. I think I probably get to learn more in multiple playthroughs, but
it finally starts to make sense during your third playthrough with some other secret revelations.
They look like androids, but they act like robot. It's really interesting.
And they're named Adam and Eve, which is just interesting too. Like just thinking about that, like, oh, okay. We need a Yokotaro Bible. I need him to flesh this story out more in text form. No, but
which you actually get to see a piece of dialogue between them. This isn't a big major spoiler or anything during your second run.
I think I saw this one
where where Eve is like, oh, why am I named Eve? Wasn't Eve a woman? Wouldn't it be more appropriate for us to be named Cain and Abel? And then Adam's like, no, Adam and Eve, they're important names. We want to go with Adam and Eve. It'll be okay. Don't worry about it.
That's not the one I was thinking of, but yeah, that makes sense. The one that I was thinking of was like they had Adam and Eve was sitting there eating an apple, and it's like, why am I eating this apple? I'm a robot. This doesn't do anything for me. And Adam's like, the humans ate the apple, and that's what gave them this massive wealth of knowledge. Like, definitely looking at things from the Bible and just trying to be more like human, because Adam's like kind of obsessed with becoming human, it feels like.
That's what it seemed like.
And Eve's just kind of like the little brother following along.
Because the world space where you fight Adam was one of the coolest looking things in the game, in my opinion, because you go from like the regular world and you go into his little hellscape or whatever the fuck it was, and it's just muted black and white. And I'm just like, it looked like the unfinished Swan almost, and I'm just like, whoa. And I sent you the thing, and I was like, whoa, this new area looks badass. And then I think the next day when you got to it, you sent me that screenshot, and you were like, whoa. Yeah. And I was like, yes, I know, bro. But that scene where that virus is spreading through 9S, and she's telling him, like, he's like, I can upload my conscience, I'll reset myself, it'll be fine. And she's like, yeah, but then this version of you won't be here anymore. And he's like, yeah, I suppose you're right. And then she just like straddles him, not in a sexual way,
but a sexual way,
and but also a very sexual way at the same time, and just grips his throat, starts choking him to death. And she chokes him to death. He dies. And here's where I figured she would shrug it off and be like, that's just the way of the machine or whatever, or the way of the android. I was wrong. She starts like crying tears, like real tears, just sobbing, upset over having to do this. And I was taken aback by that a little bit again, because it was like character development over the game where it's like, oh, so she did care about him. Oh. Type. And then he shows up in the Big Brother style, Big Daddy style robot thing over there, and he's like, hey there. And she's like, oh my god, you're okay. And then she gives some dialogue and the game ends. But I was very much like, oh, they're gonna end this on like a real sad note.
Yeah.
Turns out, no, that they do end it on a real sad note, just not that place.
Awesome. I got that to look forward to.
I do actually want to mention, like we talked about the final credits scene, but I guess before we get that far, is there anything else about the game you guys wanted to touch on? Other than,
so like we mentioned, this game has like the 5 or so main endings. It also has a ton of just little ridiculous bullshit endings as well. And one of them is why I kind of stopped playing the game and didn't end up beating my second playthrough. Because there was this one point where I was at this area where they're like, you need to get to this place really fast and help save the people from what's going on over here. I'm like, okay, I'm running and doing that. Apparently, I took a wrong turn there, and I just get this dialogue box that pops and says, 9S and 2B have decided to abandon their mission, and blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh no. And the game ended, and I got that ending. I hadn't saved for over an hour and a half at that point, so I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with this game for a little bit.
The game does literally have like 26 different endings, but of those, like 21 of them are bullshit like that. I'll tell my bullshit accidentally got a bad ending like that. At one point during the third playthrough, I'd hit a point where I was trying to pick up a expansion chip, which is just a skill upgrade, and my inventory was full. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go in there and throw some trash away because this is a pretty good chip. So I just go in, jump in, go to toss a chip, and I accidentally pull my OS chip out.
Oh, no.
Which says in big bold letters right underneath it, removing this chip will be an instant death. And I lost an hour and a half of progress. Because I was just that, thumbs of fury, like, quick, let's get this out of here. I want to get back to fighting. And then, fuck, game over.
Oh, man. So I
and then
also
I got a special ending for it.
experienced one of these bullshit endings. Although I lucked out a little more, I didn't lose any game time. I had saved right before this, so I ported to the desert resistance camp area, and there's a character there named Jackass, and Jackass wants you to like fight because she wants combat data, yada yada yada. Well, after you do all the combat data stuff, she asks you, "Hey, I need you to eat a fish," and 2B's like, "Why?" She's like, "I just want to see what it does to an android. I heard it really fucks up their insides. So know that like this could really do some damage, but I need you to eat this." Okay. So you eat the fish. It's like a mackerel or something like that, right? And the screen fades to black, and this text box comes up that just says, as 2B felt the fish making its way down to her stomach, she felt her insides liquids begin to congeal and her systems begin to fail. But as the consciousness faded from her body, she thought to herself, yeah, that tasted really good. I can see why people used to eat that. And then she dies, and then it gives you that speedy credit roll, and then takes you back and it's like load game. So luckily I had just saved it. But yeah, I got that ending as well. I also died randomly once towards the end where you had to go across the conveyor belt and those things slammed down.
Yeah, that's an instant death. That pissed me off so bad.
Yeah. I ended up leaving a body there for people to find. And I put Steam Machine D found chaos in the depths of hell or something like that. Something I don't remember.
Yeah, like when you die, that's another fun thing about this game is you can pick up the bodies of other players that you've seen and collect all their chips. And like, I got some really good chips from doing that. But like one of the things about that was like when you die, you can leave a message, but it doesn't let you like completely customize it. You have to like choose from these prompts. And I always tried to. I think I died like 3 or 4 times while I played it, and I always tried to make sure I put something really stupid as my death note.
Oh man, so you would recover the items from them. I would always revive them and have them fight.
I did that once, and I didn't care for it much, so I just took all the items from there on out.
Well, I will tell you, reviving them does end up biting you in the ass later in the game.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. They're later in the game. A virus becomes a big issue, and you're finding bodies of people who were affected by the virus, and if you revive them, they're not allies.
Oh.
So you just revived an extra enemy, which is equal to your level and armed with android gear.
That's awesome.
Oh, Lord.
And I found that out in the boss fight.
Oh, Lord. Oh, no.
That's really funny.
Fuck me running.
Oh man. So, all right. How do we go about talking about this final credit scene? So it's like you beat all the endings, and then you get to the credits, and I'll let you kind of run through it since you actually played through it.
Well, without giving any kind of spoiling, we've talked about the first 2 playthroughs, which essentially cover the same series of events. The third playthrough picks up after, and it's a actual continuation of the story, which bounces between characters. So you get to see what transpires after all that. And again, not going to spoil it. But at the very end, you have a choice. And it's essentially who you're going into the final boss fight playing as between the characters that are available. And that'll give you a different ending. After you have gotten both of the ending variants, it gives you an extra option when it's rolling the final credit sequence to make the ending better.
Yeah.
And if you say, yes, I want to do this, it starts up another shoot 'em up segment. And the credits kind of come to life, and they start doing this bullet hell free roaming shooter thing.
You are literally fighting a battle against the developers of the game.
Kind of like the ending of Super Smash Bros. Melee, where you could do the little Star Fox shooting thing, but these things are shooting back. And when I was doing pretty good. And then when you get to the ending of it, it goes from hard to fucking impossible. And it starts killing you. And the events that transpire from when you start dying, and it starts asking, do you want to give up? I'm like, hell no. I come this far, let's do this. And you die again. And again. And again.
And it keeps
And the game just starts demoralizing you This is all pointless. Do you agree? No, it's not pointless. You go again. Games are stupid. Do you agree? No, it's not stupid. Let's keep going. And then, and this is a minor spoiler, and I had it going in, but it still affected me, even knowing this was coming. You start getting letters of encouragement from other players who have done it. I've been where you are. You can do this.
Yeah, keep going, and they'll be in different languages and shit too. Like,
yeah, I saw translated from Egyptian, from Korean, from Chinese, and you start getting pumped. Like, okay, yeah, I can do this, and you keep going and going and going, and then finally, after you've died so many times, it's like, this person's offering to help. Will you accept the help? And I'll be honest, this is the only time in my life that I've played a credit sequence. I could probably hard stop it there, but a credit sequence that has made me tear up, because it is the most emotional thing. And I knew it was coming. I knew what was going to happen on the credit sequence before I played it, and it still hit me in the feels. And when all of this is said and done, do we want to tell the option at the end?
Yeah, because I feel like that doesn't necessarily spoil too much. So without going into what happens, it gives you an option at the end. Do you also want to help somebody, like a future player? If you choose yes, they adamantly let you know that this is going to cost you all of your save data. So if you say yes again, I'm sure they probably question you a couple times, like, are you sure you want to do this? And you say yes, the game then makes you watch as it goes and deletes all of, not just that playthrough, all of your save data.
Every item, every document, every costume, every weapon. It turns the knife. I did it.
Yeah, it deletes everything. But you are able to give that experience you just went through to somebody else, which is just so fucking
awesome,
cool,
man. That's really cool.
Like, just such a cool fucking concept, dude, and the way that they ended it. And again, like, with not going into what happens, it's the most powerful moment I've ever seen in a set of credits in a video game. So, I guess that leaves ratings and then questions, and then we got a quiz.
Yeah.
We got a quiz. All right. So, let's start with the guest. Dane, what would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, my good sir?
Like I said, when it first started out, I didn't have high hopes. And then the further I went into it, I fell in love with this game. And every time I went through, it just got better and better. And that emotional gut punch in the end. I don't believe in perfect scores. But I would say easily 9.5 little brothers going after big sisters. Machine joke. So yeah, I give it a 9.5. I didn't expect to like it nowhere near as much. I thought it was just going to be a fun time, but this was a killer game.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I think the game's incredible, and the way it talks, it seems like it could get an even higher score from me if I'd played it through completion and seen all of it myself. But as it stands now, I think it's a fantastic, really good game. I liked it a lot. I'm giving it an 8.5 androids out of humans. But like that could be higher if I continue playing and get all those endings and things.
So I agree that I played, the one playthrough, and then watching the retrospective and kind of seeing what happens with the rest of it, and still wanting to experience it, even though I know what was probably going to happen, or what actually not. There's no probably about it. Knowing what's going to happen, I still was taken aback by the story of this game and the way it punched me in the feels in weird ways, and really made me question like the intelligence of machines and things like that. And I'm gonna give it a 9. And I'm going to say that if I do find the time to go back and play this through the rest of the endings and everything, it would probably end up being a straight 10 for me. Just story wise, like it got me. So yeah. And I want to point something out. I do not think in the entirety of what we've been recording so far, I don't think one of us said one goddamn negative thing about this game.
That's a good point.
And That may be a first on this show.
I probably came the closest, and it was my dumb ass trying to start on hard.
Yeah. And, oh, man. So, yeah, good game. Definitely give it a shot if you are out there and it sounds any sort of interesting to you. So, Nate, let's do the fan questions.
Yeah, let's jump into the questions first, for sure. All right, time for some questions. Our first one comes in from our buddy, Team Retro. Check him out on YouTube, by the way. If you had to spend $100 to get 2 Wii Guitar Hero controllers for Clone Hero, would you?
Yeah.
The more I look into it, because I really want to get a guitar for Clone Hero, and I've been kind of hesitant to spend money on them, but $100 for 2 controllers, and I've heard the Wii ones are actually really good once you get them kind of modded up the way you need them to be. $100 doesn't sound too bad for 2 of them.
Just make sure they come with the dongles as well. That's the major thing.
I wouldn't, because I can borrow my brother's.
Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah, and I just happen to still have a PS2 one and just bought an adapter for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Next question also comes in from Team Retro. Would you say that this episode's game was very near to your heart? Now, it is now.
Yeah, it is now. It is firmly planted in my operating system.
All right. This one is from Jeff. What was the first song in Guitar Hero that you 100%ed? Like hell if my memory goes back that far, Jeff. I have no goddamn idea.
I know exactly.
Probably something like that Joan Jett song in Guitar Hero 1.
My first 100%, it was on Guitar Hero 2, Monkey Wrench.
That's a good song.
Oh, yeah. That is a great song. I do not remember what my first 100% is. I think I talked about this when this question got asked on Pod too, but I will say that I can remember the first song that I got so good at it was stupid. And that was Guitar Hero World Tour, and the song was Beat It. And I could play that song without looking at the screen and not miss a note. It was sad how much we used to play that fucking game.
Bro, in college, I would play Guitar Hero like crap. I think it was Guitar Hero 2 at that point. Whichever one, Bark at the Moon was the big song on. And I remember just...
Bark at the Moon, I think, was the final and
was it?
The first one.
I remember grinding that game until I could play everything on Expert. And everyone was like, how are you this good? I'm like, because I play this way too much. Oh, man. This next question comes in from some jackass. This is from Dane. Okay.
Sounds like a douchebag.
All right, this one's from Dane. What would your Android name be?
All right, after I posed this question, I ended up coming with ideas for both of y'all. I want to see what y'all have first so I can give my shitty ones that I came up with for everybody.
Well, sounds good. It seems like this game, the naming convention is number letter, right? It's 2S, 2B, 9S. So my thought process behind it was, what's my favorite number? 7. And then my letter, T for turtle. So 7T.
I would be 420W. But also, I want to be an android that has wheels, and you can just call me Scooter McGavin.
All right. So the ideas I had: Nate, your Turtle Bear Man, so 3 in 1.
3 in 1. I love it. That's really good.
All right. Dalton, Guitar Man, so you won.
You win.
That's good.
And mine's probably the flimsiest. I'm Mr. Puzzles, so MP, and then 3 for the length of my penis.
Very good.
I'll let you figure out what unit of measure we're going by, but none of them are flattering.
Feet. No. Meters. Oh.
3 meters long, 10 miles long.
All right. This next one comes in from Fenris, and this is, if you could have a summonable familiar... Oh, God. Use words, Nathan. If you could have a summonable familiar that spoke to you and only to you, what would it be and why? Now, I think most of you look at me and think, oh, it's clear he's going to pick a turtle. No, because I'm goth as fuck. I want a bat.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What was you, Dame?
Do y'all remember a webtoon done in Flash called Neurotically Yours?
Dude, Foamy the Squirrel?
There you go. That is my spirit animal.
Fuck yes.
Hammers
Holy
and Floodlights. If you've never seen it, look it up. It is one of the greatest things. I still keep a box of hammers in my passenger seat to make people question their life choices out on the road when I'm road raging. So definitely Foamy the angry little squirrel.
Dude, that is such a throwback. Holy shit. I used to love those. So this question got asked on Yazbot as well, and my answer on there is probably the same here, is I want a penguin, but I want like a king penguin, and I want it to have a New York accent. So I want this thing to, I want to be like, man, why is everybody looking at me weird? I don't know, maybe because you're talking to a fucking penguin that they can't see. You ever fucking think about that? Maybe you need fucking help. You know, like, bro, you're supposed to be my friend. I am your friend. That's why I'm telling you, get fucking help. You're talking to an imaginary penguin. Get the fuck out of here.
Nice.
Hey, I'm waddling here.
I'm waddling here.
Forget about it.
That's my pebble, goddammit. That pebble's a fugazi.
The gabagool.
Wow.
Gabagool.
All right. So this next one, and buckle in, this is a long one, comes in from Adam. It's more like 20 questions, but so let's kind of rock through these a little bit. So from Adam,
All right.
An RPG you hate.
Wow. That
I'd
counts,
say
right?
it counts. It's an MMORPG. I'd say that counts.
You go ahead, Nate. I got to think.
Yeah, I try to think about this one. This one's along the same lines as Dane's and probably pissed some people off, but I just could not get into this at all. And I think it's because it's an MMO, but Final Fantasy 14.
Would this count? I don't know if it would count as an RPG because it's definitely an MMO, but I never really got into the Destiny games. And I know they're kind of like the RPG shooter style. I just don't know if that would count.
I'll count it. I'll allow it.
All right, that'll work for me then.
Yeah.
Legal enough.
An RPG you find overrated.
Ooh. Final
Mine's what
Fantasy
piss people
7.
off. Yeah, I was going to say the same
I'm
thing.
close. I do think that one is overrated.
I liked
Right,
it.
I do
but
think that's overrated, but I think there is a Final Fantasy more overrated than 7. Final Fantasy 6.
Oh, 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that one's not going to go
Do
over
not
well,
disagree.
but there's just better Final Fantasies even. I mean, like...
Dude, I felt bad because I was doing a Let's Play on the JRPG Report Patreon of playing Final Fantasy 6, and it just got so doom and gloom that I lost interest in it.
There's another podcast I listened to for a while called Press B to Cancel. One of the hosts called it just a never-ending parade of sadness, and nothing has stuck with me quite like that phrasing as super accurate I've ever heard.
That sums it up pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't have to be so serious,
All right.
boys. All right. This one's a little bit jollier. An RPG that you think is underappreciated.
Divinity 2 original... No, I'm sorry, not the original sin. Divinity 2 Eco Draconis.
Never even heard of it.
I haven't played this one in a while, and I also think it's kind of having its resurgence right now because I keep seeing people talking about it. But I remember liking this one a lot when I was younger. Legend of Dragoon.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of thinking the same thing because that one has a really tight story. Like they couldn't have sequeled
Like, the only problem with that game was load times, in my opinion, in translation. But what do you expect?
And it did copy a lot of story beats almost blow for blow as far as like character deaths and things against Final Fantasy VII.
That's true. But, you know.
But I mean, Dragon Power Rangers.
Right. Right. It's so cool.
I also want to give a quick shout to Dragon's Dogma. That's another one I feel is underappreciated just because it got overshadowed by other games that released when it came out.
So what is an RPG you love?
Well, you'd never see my answer coming.
That's a Persona 5 Royal joke, everybody, in case you missed it.
It is. Yeah.
I don't think my answer comes as a shock to anyone. Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah.
Probably for me,
Nice.
Chrono
That's a
Trigger.
good one.
That is the
great.
of every RPG I've ever played. That is the only one that I've played through numerous times. At one point, I went to it almost yearly.
And I just recently beat that for the first time ever, and like it holds up really well. I think it's might even be my favorite 16-bit JRPG now, and I just played it for the first time, so that says a lot about it.
Yeah,
Hey, it's a solid game.
it really is great.
Did you? All right. Sorry, I kind of lost the plot for a second. The next one,
No, you're good.
an RPG I can play over and over again.
Final Fantasy.
Well, I guess
VIII.
I kind of spoiled my answer.
Mine is actually Dragon Quest 1 because it's a game that like I've been playing since I was a little kid. I know it super well. I can just play it, know how much I have to grind, know exactly where I have to go next. I just really enjoy that experience, like just knowing it and just being able to go and do it. And it's short compared to modern RPGs. It's way short compared to modern RPGs.
And I think I'm.
And
the
I guess
same.
I'm going to have to double dip on Chrono
You're
Trigger.
good.
Oh yeah, I can't blame you there though because
Should have read ahead.
I will say, I think for the same reasons Nate mentioned, where you played it as a kid, and it just always feels good to go back to. Is the same reason with Final Fantasy VIII. Is that was my first like dive into JRPG, so it is just a nice warm blanket to throw on every now and then.
Yeah. So what is the RPG that made you love RPGs?
I should have read ahead. Again, Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, for me, it's a combination between Final Fantasy 1 and Dragon Quest 1. Like, both of those were, like, my NES heyday playing games. Like, because I know I'm a little bit young for the NES to be the main system I had growing up, but it really was to me. And those two games, I played them over and over again.
Mine was really a baby's first RPG type answer. It wasn't the first one I'd played, but RPGs that maybe it was my age and it never really made a whole lot of sense to me. But when Pokemon came out, that was when this menu battle system finally clicked for me, and I was like, "Oh man, this is some fun shit. Let's find some like grown-up ones." And that's what led me down my RPG rabbit hole.
Pokemon was so good for like introducing people to like RPG styles. Like,
Absolutely.
I love Pokemon. I still like because like I love the simplicity of it. And I think that's part of the reason I like Dragon Quest XI so much as well, because it kind of goes back to that era where it wasn't as like stupid complicated as some of the later RPGs tried to make it. But yeah, I like the simplicity in my JRPGs for sure. All right, our next one is, what's your favorite action RPG? Oblivion, Dalton.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Took the words right out of my mouth.
I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think anything's gonna beat Oblivion for you.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. No.
I'm going to make the argument that Dark Souls should count, and that's the one I'm going to go with.
I really need.
Oh, for an action?
I really need to play Dark Souls because it just seems like so up my alley. Like,
the first one really is the best in the series, in my opinion. The interconnected levels and all that, but yet it's more of a Western style as far as its RPG elements, but
yeah.
I think it counts.
So, as far as action RPGs, this is like a genre that I didn't really super get into as much. So I'm trying to think of some older ones that I played, and I'm struggling to come up with any from that era. But I don't know. That's a really hard one for me, action RPGs, because I'm more into the turn-based style of RPGs. I'm just gonna cop out and say Skyrim for now.
Okay, well then I want to change my answer because I thought of one that might actually trump Oblivion as far as action gameplay.
Okay.
Because again, Bethesda's action, like the fighting in the Bethesda games, isn't exactly satisfying.
Right, I agree completely.
But the exploration's where they get you. So for favorite action RPG, I'm gonna go Kingdom Hearts.
Fair.
Like Kingdom Hearts has this
legit.
weird action but you're still using a menu system. It's kind of strange, but once you get used to it, it flows really easily.
I have a feeling to me that the Fallout series will become that when I play one that works well on a modern system that isn't old as shit too. So I think Fallout's going to turn into that for me when we eventually get to like 4, or what's the really good one that everybody loves? New Vegas. Yeah, I think New Vegas might become that for me.
Yeah, dude, because New Vegas, dude, we load that up and there's going to be a mod or two that we want, but it's not going to take nearly what it did to get fucking Fallout 3 running.
Christ.
Jesus.
All right, so what's your favorite tactical RPG?
I know Nate's, and that's not any
Exactly. My man.
I don't like them either, so I guess my default would have to be the only one I've actually played, which was Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. That's the one I played the most of for sure, and I don't like it either.
Yeah, me either. So it's favorite just by default of it's the only one I've played.
So I really enjoy the Agrest War series. I really enjoy Disgaea, but the best tactical RPG I've ever played was Fire Emblem Three Houses. That game was so fucking good, and I really want Fire Emblem Engage eventually, and to check that out as well. But dude, Three Houses is the only game that I've ever like seriously regretted trading it in because I've wanted to play through it again, and I don't have it anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna go Fire Emblem.
All right, and then what's your favorite turn-based RPG? Dalton wants to die because that's so hard of a question. It's just Persona 5 Royal for you again, bud.
I guess
his head's hung back so far. Like you,
I guess it's Persona 5.
Mine stays Dragon Quest 11.
Just to give a different answer from what I said earlier, Final Fantasy X.
That's a good one.
Oh, great fucking game. Great fucking game.
Yeah, and just because you can swap characters out on the fly and see how it's going to affect turn order, just on the turn-based part of the question.
Okay, yeah, I'll stick with Persona. That's fine.
And what is your favorite company that produces RPGs?
There's a company besides
Doesn't
Square.
it suck how much Square owns? Like I know there's like Falcom and Atlas. Yeah, but for because ask me this in the 80s and early 90s, I'd say Enix, but I guess I have to say Square Enix now.
Yeah, man, Enix was pumping out shit like Star Ocean back then. Like, oh god. It's like talking about pushing the limits of the fucking Super Nintendo. Yeah. Star Ocean, I think it was Star Ocean and Tales of Fantasia were two of the biggest Super Nintendo carts, and they were like 6-7 megabytes, something around there. Fucking massive back then. But
that's so funny now.
That right now you take a picture bigger than that. But quickly, shout out to another action RPG series that I forgot to bring up. Ys. The Ys games. Tremendous. They're all so good. Favorite company that produces RPGs. Oh man, I hate to just say Square because they've got more that I've played, but I think I'm gonna say Atlas because they do a good job at the style of game that they do. I don't know how to say it other than that. Whereas Square can be hit and miss, and Atlas usually knows what the fuck they're doing. Yeah,
we can say that on a game that was produced by Square. So
yeah, with help from Platinum.
Yeah, big Platinum energy in this game for sure.
Yeah.
All right, what is an RPG that surprised you?
Okay, I'll be honest. When I first played through Dragon Quest XI, I did not expect to like it as much as I did.
I understand that. Me either.
Like, it was just like, I was like, okay, this is a cutesy little RPG. And as it kept going on, I was just like, oh, goddamn, this game's good. And then it got real good. And I was like, oh, okay. Just wasn't expecting. It was the first Dragon Quest game I had ever played. Like, I had 8 on the 3DS that I had kind of dabbled with, but it's such a small screen.
It makes it hard to play, for sure.
That's kind of a pain, yeah. So I've thought about emulating the PS2 version, or maybe that one day they'll just remake it.
Why don't they? Like, how many Final Fantasy games do we just have, not even remakes, just like remasters of, like, on Steam now? Why can't we just get Dragon Quest? Why can't we get the Dragon Quest Pixel remasters from 1 through 6? Why can't we get 7 and 8 remastered? Like, why can't we just have these things?
Hell, remaster 9, fuck.
Yeah.
Because they are specifically trying to style.
I know, right? Assholes.
Yeah, right. There's even an offline version of Dragon Quest X in Japan, and we don't have that shit. And that's an MMO, but they're like, oh, no, you can play it offline if you'd like to, but not in America.
I
Fuck
know.
you.
Like, why are you doing this to me? Yeah. Did I give my answer yet? No. Chrono Trigger, because like I thought it'd be good, but I didn't think it'd be that good.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Dane?
I'll say NieR, because even I didn't think that this would have any surprises in for me at all, even having spoilers coming into it, and then ended up liking it as much as I did. That this game really caught me off guard and hit me in the feels in ways I wasn't expecting. So I'm saying this one.
All right. And then, what is your guilty pleasure RPG?
Melty's Quest.
Is yours Hyperdimension Neptunia, Dalton?
Mine is Hyperdimension Neptunia. Specifically, the one that's the crossover with Sinren Kagura, so there's plenty of jiggle physics.
Man, I'm trying to think of like a guilty pleasure RPG that I have, and I just don't know that I have one. Like, I'm trying to think of any that I'd feel guilty about playing, and I don't think there is one. So, I don't play the pervert games, so I don't have that going against me. The closest thing I've had to a pervert game is the karaoke and Like a Dragon Ishin, apparently.
Well, there you go. His guilty pleasure is playing side quests.
What is an RPG I should have played but haven't yet?
Dragon Quest 8.
Anything in the Persona series.
Like, up until recently, I have two answers for that, and that would be Chrono Trigger and Persona 5. But I've played Chrono Trigger recently, and I've started playing Persona 5. So I'm trying to come up with a good answer for one that I should have played that haven't yet. Oh, I know. Trails in the Sky, second chapter.
Second chapter, yeah. We'll get to that eventually.
That's this year.
Sure.
There's no putting it off till 2024. That's this year.
I'm down.
All right. And then we're on the last question from this block, and that is an RPG you will never play. And that's a...
What was that online Dragon Quest one?
Yeah, Dragon Quest 10. Yeah, there you go.
I will never play Dragon Quest X.
I will never play, because I think this counts as like a tactical MMO RPG, StarCraft.
Okay, yeah. I will never play EVE Online, because that's like RPG with ships, and it's super in-depth, and it's just too much for me.
Yeah. Cool. We got through that block. And I think our buddy Master Loot decided to build on that a little bit. Considering the recent controversy around the term JRPG, what would you replace it with? I think you said you covered this a little bit on JRPG Report yourself, Dalton. My answer is I wouldn't replace it, because I don't... because there's so many people from like Japan even defending the term JRPG as it exists now. Like, I think it was used as a scummy term back in the day, but then people realized, oh wow, JRPGs fucking rule. And so now it has like the positive connotation around it. And I don't know, unless there's something I missed that makes it supremely offensive, I think it's fine.
No, the whole thing was they were talking to, oh man, who was it? Was it Yoshi P? I don't know. They were talking to one of the devs from the Final Fantasy games, and he was saying that when that term was first coined, they took it as kind of like a derogatory thing. Like, well, why are you calling them Japanese RPGs? Like, we're just trying to make RPGs. Like, why specifically tag them as they're Japanese? But over the years, it's kind of become, I believe the correct term for it is term of endearment, where it's like, it was like, they took it as negative as first, but now they kind of embrace it as like, it's become a more looked well upon term than it was back in the 80s when it was first coined. So that's kind of the gist of it. He's basically saying that like, he doesn't mind it now, but if you bring it up to a lot of the old heads who were developers back then, they might have a little bit of a sore spot with that term. But most of them these days kind of accept that it's moved on from what it originally was termed to be.
Fair.
So I wouldn't replace it either. You know, JRPG.
Yeah, I don't say you need to.
There's a reason I go on Steam and search for JRPGs. It's because I like that fucking style of game.
And you run a Cog
let me
Podcast
keep doing that,
JRPG
please.
report. I'm sure you don't want to change the name now.
Yeah, no, please, God, do not make me
Land of the
rebrand.
Rising Sun RPG report.
Yeah, that rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, right off it.
Next one comes in from Master Loot as well. Is what characteristics? I'm starting to lose enunciation here. What characteristics define a Dragon Quest game? Haven't played any. So I think one of the main things that really defines it is the art style, which is Akira Toriyama. Like, yeah. And I also think another thing that really defines the series is they have always stuck to the classic JRPG formula without kind of moving away from it too much. Like, they have added some things like skill trees and things like that, but at their very core and heart, they're a pure JRPG.
Yeah, it was very much like Final Fantasy started experimenting, like with Final Fantasy 12 being that combat system, and then 15 being an action game, and now they're moving towards a more action focused combat. Dragon Quest has always been the same. You load it, you go into Dragon Quest, you play Dragon Quest 1 and you play Dragon Quest 11. There's going to be differences, but at the core, they are the same fucking game. And I so respect that, and that's why I'm so worried about Dragon Quest 12.
Worried about 12. Like, please don't kill my favorite. Please don't kill my favorite JRPG series, please.
I got to Dragon Quest 12 NFTs available now. No.
All right, and our final question comes in from Team Retrogue, and this kind of works out that Willie's not here because all three of you, hey, there's three of us, are at a convention together. You walk by a rock band set up on stage. There's nobody in line. As you three walk to the stage, a crowd gathers. You notice they start chanting, "Steam Machine, Steam Machine, Steam Machine." What instruments do you pick up? Who does vocals and lead guitar at the same time? Dalton. And what song do you, the three of you, decide on? So, personally, I'm hoping Dane is a drum boy, because that way I can play the bass while Dalton shreds and sings.
Suck at drums.
Do I need to Phil Collins this and play drums and sing?
Can you do that? Can you play drums, Dalton?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all right at it. I'm not like a death metal drummer, but I can keep a beat.
I've never learned any percussion. Like, I've played, brass instruments and string instruments, and that's about it.
When playing Rock Band, the only way I could do drums was bongo and that shit. I couldn't do it with the damn sticks.
So you're just like going full Donkey Kong style on the drums.
Like playing Donkey Konga.
I don't know why, but what first popped into my head was us walking up there and it's all quiet and everything, and we just roll into "Carry On My Wayward Son."
I'm down.
Just bust into that, and then maybe end with "Green Grass and High Tides" from the first Rock Band. Just really go out with a bang.
Those are some bangers for sure. I'm down with that set list. Dane, do you want to play guitar or bass? Do you want to play guitar or bass?
Well, in real life, I can actually play bass half-ass, so I guess I can
play
bass.
guitar half-ass. So and Dalton can play drums half-ass. So
hell yeah, we're a whole ass and a half together.
But I have to play the bass, Death Clock style of William Murderface, 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 with my penis.
Good. I'm not going to complain.
Could you do me a favor? Could you just have a great day? That would be swell. God, I love Murderface.
So I hope those are satisfactory answers to all of our wonderful listeners' questions.
Yes. Now, boys, I have created another bad translation quiz for you. Now, I will say that this was originally intended for 3 contestants, but we'll make it work with 2. So, your first badly translated game description. Now, I would like to say that you are welcome to pull up the list of the episodes if you need to reference names to help you jog what we've played. Because I also went back to games that me and Ryan played this time.
You went way back.
Yes. So, the first one, Redacted, is a parkour video game developed by Redacted. The game focuses on Redacted going through dungeons and corridors and rooms recreated by NeoGod. Your character can attack enemies from all sides using special weapons and abilities. There you go.
Parkour can attack from all sides using weapons and abilities.
Now remember, this is badly translated.
Right. I have a thought on this one. It's the parkour weapons attack on multiple sides. I'm thinking Neon Abyss.
Okay. Dane, do you have a guess?
Oh, fuck. I got no idea where to even go with that. Fuck it, Hollow Knight. I don't know. Shit.
All right. The actual game description. Neon Abyss is a run and gun video game. how it got run and gun into parkour. I laughed so hard when I saw a run and gun video game with roguelike elements developed by Viwo Games. The game's premise is centered around members of the Grim Squad as they descend into the abyss, which consists of a series of levels which procedurally generated rooms in pursuit of powerful entities known as the New Gods. The characters can use a variety of firearms and special abilities to fight enemies across each level.
I am supremely impressed with myself that I got that.
I am proud of you, sir. Right out of the gate. All right, so this next one, this one has a few redacteds in it. I apologize for it, but there were a lot of proper nouns that I had to get rid of. Redacted, brackets, lowercase b, is a redacted video game developed by Space for Home. The number one son of the redacted, it is Sonar Computer's first PAL series release in Japan and beyond.
What the fuck?
This is the story of Redacted, who joins forces with terrorists to open a business. The story sends Redacted and his team on a mission to find Redacted, a former member of the Order who wanted to destroy the world. The Redacted is associated with this process, and one of them, Landa, has the secret of entering this world. Now, I don't blame you guys if you don't get this one, because like I said, I had to redact a lot in this one.
Yeah, that one's pretty wild.
No. Did you say one of them Lambda?
Is Landa, Landa, Landa.
That doesn't mean it wasn't Lambda.
I was going to say, if it was Lambda, I was going to guess Half-Life maybe, but
I will give a hint. The word terrorists could give you an inkling, and we have mentioned this game tonight.
Terrorist, the only thing that makes me think of is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, but that does not seem to line up with the rest of what we've heard.
Well, terrorists, when I think that, I go straight to Final Fantasy VII because that's what Avalanche essentially was.
All right.
Yeah. I think Dane might have it.
Give it to me.
Final Fantasy VII is a 1997 role-playing game developed by Square for the PlayStation console. It is the seventh main installment in the Final Fantasy series, published in Japan by Square. It was released in other regions by Sony Computer Entertainment and is the first main series with a PAL release. It fucked that sentence up hard. It's the first PAL release outside of Japan and beyond. Of course it was. It was a PAL. But yeah, story follows Cloud, a mercenary who joins an eco-terrorist organization to stop a world-controlling megacorporation from using the planet's life essence as an energy source. Yada, yada, yada. So yes, you each have one
done,
point.
Dane.
All right.
Don't worry. Probably be my only point of the game.
Redacted, brackets, capital A, is a racing and shooting game developed and published by Redacted. The game follows Redacted, who is sent as a part of a deal with the police to pay off his creditors after losing a casino. In this game, two players control Redacted and or his brother Redacted and face different factions in epic battles. There is no story in this game. As the game progresses, the character becomes stronger and can scare monsters. However, the player can use this power at the right time. That's it.
Like, my brain went from one thing to completely thinking it can't be that thing.
Oh, that's why I love these quizzes.
Screw it. I'm going with my gut here. It says two players can control him or his brother. I don't think it quite means that. What I think it means is the player can control one of two characters and switches between them. I'm thinking this is talking about Kiryu and Majima. I'm thinking this is Yakuza 0.
Okay. Dane?
I have absolutely no clue where to go with it. Oh, I'm just going to throw out a random one. I know you did. Borderlands.
Okay, so we got...
I have no idea.
We got
Just
Yakuza
blind
0
guessing.
and we got Borderlands. Cuphead is a run-and-gun video game developed and published by Studio MDHR. The game follows the titular Cuphead, who, in a deal with the devil after losing a game at the devil's casino, is sent on a quest to repossess the souls of runaway debtors as payment, and you can pay as Cuphead and or his brother, Mugman. I thought for sure when you brought up the playing as him or his brother, I was like, oh, Nate's got this.
I thought it was wrong. I thought that got weird in translation.
I forgot you could play as Mugman in there.
All right. So no points on that one. We still got an even playing field. The Redacted is a video game developed by Redacted and published by Redacted. The game takes place 200 months after the forgotten events of Redacted and Redacted. The main story unfolds as blank and prepares to slay monsters to save the world from the redacted plague. In the game, the player upgrades his character by completing tasks and improving abilities. Game settings allow you to skip parts of the game. Important information can be removed or hidden.
What?
I'll give you a hint. 200 months should be 200 years. And do not let the word plague throw you off.
That threw me so damn hard.
Yeah, don't let the word plague throw you off.
That makes me think of,
Yeah, I will give you this. It is not a plague tale. I will give you that much. It's not a plague tale.
I was going to say, like, plague made me think Plague Tale, but that sounds absolutely... That would be so messed up. 200 years.
I know. 200 years.
I believe it's 200 years after the events of one game, and then is like 1,000 years after another one.
I meant to say Trails in the Sky.
Okay. So we got
But
Trails
no,
in the
because
Sky
that
from
takes
Nate.
place all in very... The games take place so soon after each other. Like, no, I don't think that can be right. Dalton, this is rough.
I'll give you another hint. This was a me and Ryan game.
Okay, hold on. I think I have an idea. The Outer Worlds.
Okay. So
That's my final
is that your
answer.
final answer? Okay. What's you, Dane?
I've not listened to that many You and Ryan episodes.
You're not the only one.
Did y'all do Fallout 4? I'm just going to guess Fallout 4 because I know that's got a time jump in there.
Okay. Yes, we did do Fallout 4, actually. So, the final answer for this one is... The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is an action role-playing game developed by Bethesda Game Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game is set 200 years after the events of Oblivion.
Damn it.
And I believe... And takes place in Skyrim. Focuses on the main playing character, the Dragonborn, on their quest to defeat Alduin the World Eater, a dragon who is prophesized to destroy the world. Now, I want you to know that the thing I redacted was, it says, the story unfolds as the Dragonborn prepares to slay monsters and save the world from the Dragon Plague. And I knew if I left Dragon Plague in, that would be a dead giveaway. And I also knew if I left the word plague in, that would absolutely throw you guys. So I was like, all right, let's do it. All right. Next one. This is one that just went all over the place. Redacted is Adam's first film.
Is it Australian?
After starting the game, the player can create a character and control the game environment. Although the player cannot directly control the ship, it is a shortcut to different areas of the game, and the player can earn rewards. Bracket 2, unbracket. Players can make friends and recruit non-playable characters, parenthesis, NPCs, to play a role in the story. For the first time as combat assistant. Period. That's just a sentence. Everyone strives to develop their skills and talents. Players can bring up to 2 friends on board, while others can stay on board. During these sessions, the players can make different decisions according to the game conditions, and they can interact with NPCs in a variety of ways, including acting, stealing, and being silly.
I'm going to blind guess and just go Outer Worlds.
Okay.
Okay, give me just a second here. Give me just a second to pick the one I'm going to go with here.
No rush at all.
The ship part is throwing me a little bit. Oh, man. Because, like, part of me wants to think it's this one, but the ship just a messed up word on here. Oh, that's so mean. Cyber Dimension Neptunia, 4 Goddesses Online.
All right. So we got Outer Worlds from Dane. We got Cyber Dimension Neptunia from Nate. The actual answer is The Outer Worlds is an action role-playing video game featuring a first-person's perspective. And in the early stages of the game, the player can create their character and unlock a ship, which acts as the game's central hub space. Yada, yada, yada. Point
I
goes to
regret bringing
Dane.
up The Outer Worlds earlier.
We're straight into that one.
Oh, I know. When you said that for the last one and I looked at the next one, I was like, oh, man. And I bet he's not going to guess that twice.
You were correct, good sir. I might have, but Dane beat me to it.
Gotcha.
All right. I think this next one will be a little easier. The Psycho Walker Ranger escapes the tournament and follows a wizard.
Walker, Texas Ranger. Sorry, but that just got me off guard.
The Psycho Walker Ranger escapes the tournament and follows a wizard (in secret) to a summer camp where he tries to enlighten Hogwarts by outsmarting others with similar abilities. He knows Redacted has evil plans and only he can stop him. Don't let Hogwarts
I know
throw
it
you off. I don't know
can't,
where the
but that's
fuck that
just
came
so
from.
bizarre.
The aim of the game is to discover the identity and culture of different people and discover the secrets of medicine. Get help and improve your game. In the game, Redacted uses special abilities to fight enemies and solve puzzles. Am willing to give a hint if you need one.
Just why did it say Hogwarts?
I don't know. Maybe because it mentioned a wizard and it just like put two and two together. I don't know, because I promise you in the actual thing there is no mention of anything that would be close to Hogwarts.
So funny.
That's why I was like, yeah, don't let Hogwarts throw you, because that's just, I don't know why that's there.
I mean, the answer's obvious.
Why don't you say it then?
Quake.
I mean, how am I going to
Totally
do that?
Quake.
I'm actually going with Kingdoms of Amalur on this one.
Okay. So we got Quake and we got Kingdoms of Amalur. All right. The answer is Psychonauts.
Recount.
Follows the player character Rasputin, or Raz, a young gifted boy with psychic abilities who runs away from the circus to try to sneak into a summer camp for those with similar powers to become a psychonaut.
That's what Hogwarts is.
Where it got Hogwarts and Psycho Walker Ranger.
Psycho Walker Ranger is so good.
Like that's a band name if I've ever heard one. It's Psycho Walker Ranger. Oh my goodness. All right, so no points on that one. We still got Dane ahead by 1. Your next question. Players take control of Redacted as he searches for the treasure of his missing Redacted. Now, Redacted, while not a bad fighter, has arrows, pistols, shotguns, and chains to kill the neighbors, Burner, and others. Quote, for example, unquote, period. That's the whole sentence. Just for example. It also heals ailments to stop damage-reducing attacks. Let me repeat that one more time. It also heals ailments to stop damage-reducing attacks. Basic abilities appear after certain game matches and can temporarily be disabled during combat. However, this combination can be avoided by killing or being killed.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's it. And I do have a hint for this one as well.
I think I need it.
You need it? This is a horror game.
Control.
You said Control? All right.
The funny thing is I was actually thinking it was a horror game, and the one that popped to my brain first was Outlast 2.
Outlast 2? All right, and that's your final answer? Okay, so we got Outlast 2, we got Control. So the player takes control of Ethan Winters from a first-person perspective as he searches a derelict estate for his missing wife. And although Ethan is a civilian with a few combat skills, he is able to arm himself with a variety of weapons, including handguns, shotguns, flamethrowers, explosives, and chainsaws. This game being known as Resident Evil 7.
I'm so mad. I was between those two. But, like, think how similar. One dude searching for his wife. Like,
yeah. Although I will point out that it said, while not a bad fighter, he has arrows, pistols, and shotguns, which would have been a giveaway that it wasn't Outlast.
Damn it.
All right. Here's the one.
I was just hoping for like massive fuckery in the translating.
This is the one that I literally laughed for 5 minutes when I saw this translation and did my redactions. But it's also I don't think it's that hard. So we'll see. Controlling various Redacted. Players will be involved with dogs in Redacted scenes. The air battle of Redacted introduced new equipment and aircraft, and it has more than 40 large Redacted, such as British Light P, Messy 109s, and Japanese. I do have a hint. If you need it. Okay, so if you guys need the hint, focus on the word dogs and air battle.
Air battle and dogs.
Dogs and air battle.
This is so much harder than I feel like it should be. Like,
it really is. Like, I am shocked that neither of you have guessed it yet.
Dogfight 1942.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Nate, would you like to
Give
give
me
a guess?
just a second.
Oh yeah, no rush, no rush.
The look on Nate's face right now as he struggles.
So hard. It's killing me inside a little bit. Like, Far Cry 4. Let's go.
All right, so we got Dane said Dogfight 1942, and Nate said
Far Cry
Fallout
4.
Oh, Far Cry 4.
Which just means I'm wrong since he had to ask.
Sorry. Piloting a wide range of aircraft, players engage in aerial dogfights and dangerous fighter missions across the major theaters of war during World War II, featuring realistic aircrafts. Dogfight 1942 introduces cutting-edge flight dynamics with unprecedented arcade accessibility. Fly over 40 historically accurate planes ranging from the fabled P-38 Lightning and Britain's Spitfire to the feared Messerschmitt and Japanese Kate.
Fun fact, the 10,000-year prior prequel to NieR Automata.
Man, okay, there it is. I was like trying to find this episode on the
Long
list. Like
time
December
ago.
21st, 2020. God bless.
Yeah, dude, way back. All right. So we got, okay, so Dane's 2 points ahead now. Hold on, let me do some math real quick. One.
I thought I was going to suck at this.
I mean, you do,
Failing
but
upwards.
so I just suck worse.
Nate, you can still win if you get the next 3 questions right
Okay.
and Dane doesn't.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, because
No
I've
pressure.
proven myself that I can do that.
Well, like I told Dane before we went on air, I said I treat this like whose line is it
Yeah,
anyway. I
I
just
don't
get points.
care.
Who cares?
What do I
win?
win?
So the player controls Redacted. It is similar to the original Redacted style used in Redacted, but different. Players can use different colors to change Redacted's appearance. Unlike previous Redacted games, enemies are invisible. Redacted is an RPG that focuses on looting and fighting enemies. Redacted's primary weapon is the Master Blade, but he can use multiple blades or blades. I love that. Multiple blades or blades and destabilize others. Redacted has 2 weapons, 4 kinds of pomegranate, mailbox, you can control other weapons like fuel tanks and 3D characters. However, some weapons can be obtained by defeating bosses in the game.
Uh-huh. The enemies are invisible.
So,
That's
my hint
pretty
for you
cool.
for this one. my hint was ignore the enemies are invisible.
Oh, shit.
And then also, this is part of a series.
Oh, man. I hate to do this. Can you read that one again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
The player controls Redacted. It's similar to the original Redacted's style used in Redacted, but different. The players can use different colors to change Redacted's appearance, but unlike previous games, enemies are invisible. Redacted is an RPG that focuses on looting and fighting enemies. Redacted's primary weapon is the Master Blade, but he can use multiple blades or blades and destabilize others. Redacted has 2 weapons, 4 kinds of pomegranate, mailbox. You can control other weapons like fuel tanks and 3D characters. However, some weapons can be obtained by defeating bosses in the game.
I'm going to say Metal Gear Rising. Stealth camo, blades, series.
Blade is the part that's really throwing me off because what I want to say is Fallout 4. So I'm just going to say Fallout 4 and be wrong, and we'll get on with our lives.
Okay. So my dumbass does not have the original paragraph for this one for some reason, but I can tell you the answer. And Dane is correct. It is Metal Gear
It's
Rising.
not an
Revengeance.
RPG!
I know it is also not. I know. That's what I was like. It doesn't make any sense. It's not an RPG at all. I don't remember it being called anything like the Master.
And I don't remember there being any pomegranates.
four kinds of pomegranates
In
and a mailbox.
Yeah, it's a half frequency blade. I don't know how that went to master, but
Okay. So there are 2 more questions left, and then my next host pick. So the concepts of Redacted are largely nonlinear because events only happen when certain conditions are met. Parenthesis, winning air battles, finding more monsters, etc. Building the world. Redacted becomes a teacher and acts as the teacher's new partner in the war against demons. The game ends when the monster defeats the Redacted. Little can participate in the Cup Special Tournaments of Champions. If the gold is wrong when there is no gold on the screen, the teacher loses the game.
Monster Rancher 2.
Okay. Monster Rancher 2.
Well, I've got the game on lock, so I can just whiff them all. Just pick something random from the list. Portal 2.
Portal 2. All right. The story of Monster Rancher 2 is largely non-linear, with the story events happening only after certain requirements are met.
Got one.
And yeah, you got one. So that puts Dane up by... Are you up by 1 now, or no, you're up by 2 still? Yeah.
Up by 2.
All right, so the final one before my host pick. Redacted Code is a first-person or third-person game. Brackets 1 in bracket, bracket 2 in bracket, bracket 3 in bracket. The player assumes the role of a person exploring various locations to complete more than 120 challenges. In this game, players have to navigate around collecting, quote, pieces and overcoming obstacles. They have computer planes that will explode and kill the player if they get too close. There's also a wall bridge that players can grab onto if it's too close. If the player dies this way, they return to the start of the normal puzzle. Mobile combat is achieved by destroying distant drones, towers, walls that block the player's path. As the player collects more pieces and solves more puzzles, new puzzles appear in the game. The adjustable glass body allows players to control the light switch. Crates can block players and other objects such as large bolts or drones from the players are carrying, a tool for entering text and interacting with it over time. On the other hand, reproduction must stop before transmission can begin.
Interesting.
And I was impressed with that one because there's only one redacted in that whole fucking thing.
Interesting.
I heard puzzle a lot, so I'm going to say Talos.
Yeah, I heard
Principle.
puzzle a lot too, and I think it said something about blocks or cubes, so I'm going with Portal.
Both strong answers. So we got Nate saying Portal, we got Dane saying the Talos Principle. The actual answer is the Talos Principle is a narrative-based puzzle game played from the first or third person perspective. The player takes control of a robot with seemingly human consciousness. As they explore a number of environments that include over 120 puzzles, these environments interlock greenery, desert, and stone ruins with futuristic technology. And then there's a whole other long paragraph that I won't get
Dane
into.
killed it.
But he did. Congratulations, you are the winner, my good sir. And your prize is...
You get to host again sometime soon.
Yay! Yeah. I wanted to include the Talos Principle on there because of the parallels between the story of the Talos Principle and the story of NieR. There's some parallels between the two. So, my next host pick, Redacted, also known as Project Skyscraper, is a survival game developed by the Halo Chief. August, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Series S, Nintendo.
Series S, Nintendo. I want one of those.
The game collection for Mac OS, and iPad includes 5 categories: exploration, survival, war, business, and peace. The game is designed to allow players to play in an open world with over 18 redacted plants and animals that live on Earth today. Players are attacked by many redacted in the world, and foreign partners use the funds to buy and sell crops and livestock. It is a basic search that allows you to look at the stars. In the game, you try to discover the secret of redacted.
That took me for a ride.
It's a hell of a description.
Over 18 plants and animals.
I know, wow, what a variety. Man, my computer, one of my fans on my computer keeps making this really alarming
That is
grinding
not
sound.
what you want to
That's not
hear. Literally.
You got a
I do
Baron
have
going
a
out.
guess.
good. Okay.
No Man's Sky.
All right. And Dane, do you have a guess as to what my next host pick is going to be?
I'm just hung up on plants and animals. I'm going to say Stardew Valley. Probably wrong.
Okay. No Man's Sky is previously codenamed Project Skyscraper, is an action-adventure survival game developed and published by Hello Games. It released worldwide for the PlayStation 4, Microsoft Windows, and on August 2016. Yada, yada, yada. The game is built around 5 pillars: exploration, survival, combat, trading, and base building. Now, let's get to the one part. Players are free to perform within the entirety of a procedurally generated deterministic open world universe, which includes over 18 quintillion planets. Through the game's procedural generation system, planets have their own ecosystems with unique forms of flora and fauna and various alien species that may engage the player in combat or trade. So that's what it took all of that and was like, yeah, you can find 18 plants and animals.
Really funny.
But yeah, and then you're trying to find out the mystery around the entity known as the Atlas. Ooh.
There's a story.
Yeah, man, I've been wanting to do No Man's Sky for a long time. There is a deep story in No Man's Sky, actually. I cannot wait for you to start to get into that game and read some of the way that it's written, like when you're getting quests and things like that, because you're either going to be like, man, this game's way deeper than I thought, or you're going to be like, this game sniffs its own farts. It's going to be like one of the two. But I really enjoy it. I look forward to it, and it's also like one of those games that we don't have to worry about beating it, because none of us in the time it's going to in the next 2 weeks are going to make it to the center of the galaxy, which is what or the center of the universe, which is your goal in that game. It is like hundreds of thousands of light years away. And even with an fully upgraded freight, like a freighter, space freighter, big fucking thing, even with your warp max upgraded, you can warp 200 light years, 300 light years away, if that. So like getting to the center, it's not quick at all. But yeah, I really look forward to it. And I did message Willie earlier today and said, hey man, I know you're not going to be there. So the answer to the question for my game is No Man's Sky, if you just want to go ahead and install it. And he was like, oh, word. Hell yeah. Sweet.
He didn't tell me that at all, so don't think that I cheated to get that answer.
No. I didn't think you did. I honestly, in my head, I figured that you were like putting like the fact that I bought it for you and Willie recently. Yeah. Or no, I bought it for Willie recently. And then you had it, and I had been mentioning to you that I think that you checking it out in VR would be really cool. And I'd like to hear your experience. That is kind of how, because
we talked about No Man's Sky a bit previously, so Dane was kind of screwed on that one because he's not in our host chat.
Yeah, but he won the game. So, and speaking of the game, everyone listening loses. Yeah, because that old high school shtick. But yeah, I guess then that just leaves. Where is my handy dandy show notes? Hold on one second. Get those pulled up right here. Is there anything else that I forgot to mention?
Patreon donors.
Oh, no, I know that. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm reading through my notes to make sure there was nothing about NieR that I was going to be like, oh, wait, no. Oh, God. No, we covered everything. So where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. If you would like to come join the Discord, you can join at bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. Come and join. We have a good amount of people in there, and there's always conversations going on about gaming or whatever else you want to talk about. It's a good time. Good people. Come join. If you want to check out the website, which is now up to date because of one Mr. Puzzles Dane. Thank you very much, sir. bit.ly/The Steam Machine Podcast. If you would like to be a patron and support the show, which means a hell of a lot to me, you can go to patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast and donate $1, or if you donate $10 or more, you get a shout out on each and every episode, like these wonderful people: Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of Juniper, Jeff the Original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, all the nicknames, old Jeffy Lube himself, Eraser Adam, shout out to his podcast Revival and Extinction, James the Steam Machine Hall, Monitor Hall, Team Retro, go check him out on YouTube, and one Mr. Puzzles Dane. Thank you guys very, very, very much. It actually, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the Patreon at the moment pays for my health insurance. So like, that's nice. I appreciate that very much. So other than that, you can check me out on Yabs Pod, a weekly just podcast where me and Jeremy just shoot the shit. It is very not safe for work. Do not listen to it around your kids. If you would like a podcast that you can listen to around your kids, you can check me out over on the JRPG Report. If that style of show is your thing, you can get all of your JRPG news from my illustrious tones. If you'd like to get a shirt, which I've been trying to add more stuff to, tsmpproductions.threadless.com. And if you want to check out my music, nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. And if you would please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast, that would help us out in the algorithm and mean a ton. Gentlemen, is there anything else that you would like to touch on before we get out of here?
I'm good.
All right. Well, then, Dane, thank you very much for guesting on this episode, my good sir. We always love having you, and we look forward to having you again here soon. You can put your pants back on now. And as always, guys, take it easy.